joetamsel.com. Be sure to visit our good friend Joe over at his website. I can't believe all that build up and I had to reach for the phrase website. Yeah, go visit Joe Townsell at joetamsel.com. Not only should you visit Joe Townsell, but you should hold on to your seat, my friends. Oh my goodness, what an episode we have for you this evening. It is going to get steamy in here. There's going to be all sorts of tight clothing and baggy pants because we are taking a look at clips from Burlesque and old as well as fairly old, less old. So going to be a whole bunch. Let's get the show started.
Fair use. Fair use. Having fun, you know. Giving comments and reviews, and it's covered by fair use. Fair use. Fair use. Having fun, you know.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fire.
Retro Rangers, Retro Rangers, Retro Rangers, Retro Rangers,
Hey, welcome to Retro Rangers, where a bunch of friends get together here on the screen and in the chat, and the chat frequently gets on the screen, and we have so much fun. So I hope if you're joining us for the first time, you're enjoying the fun as well. Come on over, join the chat, and have I introduced you to the commander of this rickety space station that I captain? Folks, have you met Commander Joe Townsell?
Thank you, Captain. I if I haven't met you, I look forward to meeting you all out there. Listen, John, this is undoubtedly the best darn review and reaction show there is on YouTube. So let's just get that out of the way. Since we are a review and reaction channel, I have 3 reactions right off the bat before we even get into it.
Oh, good.
Of course, I'm very much looking to our special guest. He'll be coming on shortly.
Yes.
The 3 initial reactions are as follows. You know it's going to be a great show and a fun show when you're already laughing and smiling just at the opening overture music that brought us in tonight. Second reaction is that I saw that beguiling woman with the rose. Oh, I guess we're getting right into one of the burlesque clips already, but it was actually my girl. So for a moment there, I was fooled.
She is the fish hook in the cupcake. She is, and she figures heavily into Joe's upcoming book. Joe, tell us just a little bit about that.
Oh, well, thank you. I'd be happy to. Yes, the character you see on the cover of my upcoming collection, Horror Springs Eternal, her name is Rose. She is a florist, and I hope that's not too on the nose for a lot of people, but really she cool. And the Rose theme carry on throughout the stories in the book. Now, they can all be read independently. You can read a couple, you could skip the others if you want, but if you read them all, you're going to see a nice little theme at work within the pages of the new collection.
Little bit of universe building. That's the kind of artist that Joe is. Folks, let's bring in this week's guest. He's somebody I met doing comedy in New York. He has just kept doing comedy in New York. One of the brightest lights of all the comedy scene, because he's a really nice person, and he's really he loves fun, and he's not like that mean kind of comedian. He's the fun kind. And folks, let's bring him on. It's Bob Greenberg.
Hi, I'm not mean, I'm fun.
Oh, yeah. Wacka wacka.
Bob and I
reading the audiences. Woo! Okay. How's it going, everybody?
Going good.
Great.
Going good, man. Bob and I remember one particular show you and I did get together, Bob. It was one of those murder mysteries.
Oh, yes.
Created, I believe, by our good friend, the late Doug Nervick.
Yes, probably.
He was a lovely man, and he would set us up so that I could be the straight man in basically an Abbott and Costello routine with Bob playing Lou. What are you doing? What are you doing? Come over here.
I'm a bad boy.
And Bob is not only great at doing both roles, by the way. Bob he can do it all. He can do it.
Costello. I like old Abbott. Costello, go fight the monster. You ever see the Abbott and Costello cartoons? It was like a post-stroke Bud Abbott doing the voice of Bud Abbott. These are the cartoons in the 60s, and they always had him say things, get the intergalactic gun, Costello! And the guy who did the voice of Costello was horrible. He was like a voice from like Yippee, Yappy, and Yahoo. He was like, hey, yeah, what the heck is
there was
I don't want to fight the monster. Special
so
needs Costello it was. Yes.
Even you doing an imitation of the bad Costello still sounds like an amazing Lou Costello.
Yabbit. Yabbit.
Now, everybody in the chat is saying hello. Raphael says hello. And
Raphael.
I know our was that Diana J? Diana J. Brody is saying hello.
Someone's eating cashews on a cat? What was that? My cat cashew. God bless you. Oh,
cashew. Whenever Diana is a guest on this show, and she is frequently, her cat Cashew has like an hour and 15 minutes, and then she's done. And
Cashew is nuts. Cashew is nuts, I tell you.
She gets nuts. She does get nuts. It happens. Raphael from New Jersey.
He's been assaulted.
You'll learn to shut up so that I can set up Bob. Let him get those punchlines in. And I believe you know Chris.
Chris? Oh, yes, Chris. Hey,
Scuba.
Chris. How are you?
Yes, Chris is out here and made it through the fires just like I did. Woo, yay.
Yeah, my God, I feel so bad for all those people.
What a nightmare. You know, I've got a friend who actually is an assistant to Dick Van Dyke.
Oh.
And he was sending us all updates of how Dick's doing. He's doing great.
Good.
He's doing great. But it was rough. The guy's 99. They lost power. They had to evacuate. They got to go back finally. Still lost power. You know, it's hard for a guy 99 to make it through cold nights like that. So
it's hard for a 9-year-old. Come on.
Yeah. Oh, good point. Good point. We should get started because really it's all about the ha-cha-cha tonight.
Yeah, somebody said they remember Yippee Yappy and Yahoo, so this is the right audience, I think. Yes.
Oh, absolutely. They always are.
I remember Yippee and Yappy. Raphael.
You know what's
Yippee,
funny?
Yappy and Yahoo!
This bunch, when you tell them how close you are, I know this from experience. I tell them how close I am to the age of 60, and they're like, "You're a kid," and that's why I love this audience so much.
Well, and John, I did just recall my third reaction before we got started, and it's the following: only with us two old guys, as you often put it, would you recall a clip from like the late 70s as being more recent and new?
I don't watch anything post 1959. Come 1960, I'm like, wow, I can't follow it. The color on the film, it gives me a headache.
I am so like one of those guys who's like 1979. That was like yesterday, right?
Yeah.
I bleed when I watch TCM and they show a movie from the 80s or 90s. I think this is not Turner Classic Movies, you know, and I see something, I saw that in the theater. That's not old. If I saw it in the theater, it's not old. You know, I want to see a 1930 talkie with a sound that's like, take him for a ride. What? Take him for a ride. Oh, you mean a ride? was an early talkie where they had to speak into like a vase or something because they couldn't figure out where to put the microphone. And they all thought they had to stop talking after someone spoke.
Because the mic has to like reset. So
Yeah, you know who helped create the boom was Clara Bow. Clara Bow was a great silent actress. Actually, she has some. Lately, she's had a lot of people talk about it because Taylor Swift, I think, wrote a song called Clara Bow.
Yeah,
and she moved around. She was kinetic, and she did her first talking. She just kept moving around, and so someone brilliant guy took a fishing pole or something, and this was the first boom, and just followed her as she moved around, and that. But before that, they'd stick the mic in the plant, and all the actors are sort of leaning into the plant, you know, or saying, "Well, how are you, honey?" You know,
well, I'm over here by the hat rack, and I'm not going to move.
So
I have to
funny.
keep talking into this fedora.
Yeah, it took a little while before sound. They made so many early sound films before they knew what the hell they were doing, you know? So
They did. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to get us on the clips here. We're going to start with a little Joe, you pulled this clip. We're going to start with it. This is one of the Gypsy Rose Lee clips.
Oh,
nice.
We will begin. Very classic.
She was considered a talking woman, you know, as opposed to a. She claimed she was a striptease artist. She stripped, but because she spoke, she was considered a talking woman in Burlesque.
Which I love that she made it her own. You know. That
and because I mean, they used to argue about that she was not really mostly the strippers came out and stripped, but she did a stand-up stripping.
Oh, see, she's a woman after your heart, Bob. Several other body parts.
Not any of that annoying color. Beautiful black and white.
Are those chinchillas?
I think so.
They look like they have little heads and tails on them. I'm not sure.
I have that many chins.
She's singing a little song.
That burns just go down.
Yeah, she's got a nice voice.
Story that went around, but here's the real lowdown. Put the blame on
And the tease begins.
The gown, the big reveal.
That's some schmata. The little tassels on the titties. You see that?
I can only think of the joke that I saw Taylor Negron perform.
Oh, what
and it was like his
film is this? His extras are so strange looking. Look at this; those extras are bizarre looking. This is a foreign film. Did you see those extras? What was that? A Fellini movie?
I want to see that shot again. Wow,
they're weird extras.
Who lit this place? Fritz Lang?
She's shaking it.
Now, see, this is my favorite part there. With like the little, whatever you call them on the, down the gown there.
Oh,
shaying him like that. That's nice.
If she had boxer shorts on the end of it, that would have been.
That would be the Catskills way.
I wonder what this film is because it doesn't have an American feel to it to me.
Put the blame on Maine.
Oh, was that the name of the film?
Was it short?
I think it's a full film.
Oh, okay.
All right, so now we're into our next our next artist. We'll say. I don't want to say stripper.
I like the curtains, and then the curtains behind the curtains. So this is low budget. This is not even a stage. I can see this. Is look at that. It's curtain beyond the curtains. Okay,
that's true. This was part of a series of films that were just a cheap way of getting strippers.
Is this an Irving Claw? Because I was going to mention about Betty Page and Irving Claw that they were shot on 14th Street, I think in his basement, and they would put up curtains and do little short films. Let's see if this is an Irving Claw.
No, what I got on this one is Night in Hollywood features 2 songs, 4 comedy skits, and 6 striptease acts.
So it's a midnight show. It's a independent midnight movie. Okay.
That's what this would be. Directors on this are either Robert Durtano or William Thompson.
Okay, so this is a homemade kind of like
yeah.
So remember that, everybody. Only on 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, Retro Rangers do you get a midnight show.
There you go.
That's why tonight we're Retro Rangers After Dark.
So here's
Oh
Misty
my,
Ayers.
John, you picked a good one here.
Yes.
Oh,
she
I'm
is
impressed. They have camera movement. This was impressive for these people.
Oh, they really thought they were doing something good here, and honestly, they were.
Well, it would be an independent film. They could have rented some good space somewhere, and just had the overhead lights. Right, they've got the floodlights on, and then remedial curtains. Look, it's just look at the floor. There's nothing special about it. It's just whatever is there.
Yeah.
One take, probably one take. I was impressed they dollied in. They actually had either borrowed a dolly or they were able to move in. But they're backing up. Oh, very good.
They got a good cameraman here.
Yeah,
he's got a little crew with him. Because
And
these
she got a little crew
old
with her too, so to speak.
she is beautiful.
She is.
Yeah.
Hamina.
She can only go. Well, they usually don't go too far in these little things. They go as far as they possibly could. But this is pretty good though.
It's
this better look than most of them.
Yeah, you're gonna see a variety, but some of these are from this one film, and yeah, they go so far.
I'm friendly with April March. You can find her on Facebook. She was a Burlesque stripper, and she wrote a book. And she's very nice. She's still around. I don't know if she made one of these.
When was she? When was she working? Do you remember?
In the 50s and 60s. Yeah, April March. Look her up.
Danny, you would look fabulous if you won this tonight.
Helpful.
All right. Well, the classy part of the number's over, and now we hit the zipper.
And zip.
Raphael, you get it.
Yes, 12 minutes. Yes.
Well, this didn't take 12 minutes.
Well, she's in pretty good shape, you know. I mean, by today's standards, I mean, she's almost quote unquote fit. A lot of the girls were not, by today's standards, considered fit, whatever that means, you know.
Right, but it's not.
I like it. I like it.
It's lovely. Sorry.
Well, I mean, by contrast, Marilyn Monroe would have been considered chubby now.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Well,
so this young lady is definitely.
She's more fit than most of the girls at that time.
I agree.
Yeah, she is.
And I'm gonna guess quite young.
And I would guess she's a dancer first, if you know what I mean. She's a dancer.
Right.
Who did this?
Right.
Second, you know, dancer first.
Yeah.
This is extra money for her.
This is this is a gal who's working in her 20s. I'm thinking, which is fine, but honestly, Zoftig works too.
Yes.
Can we, Bob? For people who don't know Yiddish, Zoftig. Well, how would you?
Zoftig is not an insult. It's, you know, a full-figured woman.
Yeah.
You remember I worked with Lady Kazan. You remember Lady Kazan when she was young, or you know, Mae West would be Zoftig. You could argue by today's standards, Marilyn Monroe is Zoftig. You could argue that.
Exactly. Chris says, I'm a real ass man. My friends say so. You're a real ass man.
You know who had a great ass was Joan Blondell. You should watch Joan Blondell in some pre-code movies. As a matter of fact, Jimmy Cagney speaks about a paragraph about her ass in his autobiography. He was so impressed by her rear end. And there are some early films where the camera just lingers on her walking away. They just want to show
She was also a really great comedian, was she not?
Great act. She was all that in a bag of chips. I mean, she was beautiful. She got into some trouble. She'd often be braless in scenes, you know, and Jack Lawrence put some bras on that. You know?
I didn't think I could love her more.
Yeah.
Yet now I do.
It's something pre-code, you know, anything before 34. You know.
Pre-code.
She was a lot of fun. And a great actress.
Yeah. Was it really a good idea for me to program this if I'm just going to sit here and drool and not actually?
Of course.
That's good. You have a handkerchief?
John's got his crusty sock there somewhere. I think.
Here's a handkerchief you can drool on. There you go. Wipe the drool away.
Thanks, Bob.
There you go.
Oh, that's what you meant. Sorry.
Yeah, the drool on the mouth. The clear liquid. I'm talking. What is this going on here?
Oh, my
golden.
goodness.
Yeah, I think it was
Wow.
Raphael that pointed out it would take her 12 minutes to take her gloves off, but she's I'm not going to waste that time. I'm just going to leave the gloves on.
I mean, it sounds funny to say she's a pro, but she's a real pro.
She
Well, she is what she
absolutely.
does. Sure.
See, now here's another thing I like is that we can sit here now, and it's not like 60 years ago when it's all about like, yeah, that's a broad, and we can appreciate the fact
Oh,
that
let me see who
she's
these
a professional.
Right.
All right, we're going into a comedy bit here. Bob, do you know anything?
And Lyle Talbot on the left.
I think.
Is it Lyle Talbot? Does it say?
Lyle Talbot. Yes. Oh
my God! Yes, I recognized him right away. Now he was not considered a straight. He was an actor.
Yeah.
I think he may be in Plan 9 from Outer Space.
He
But
is.
he was a Warner Brothers actor
Yes.
who worked to the end of his life. He was probably on Batman and things like that. And so is he doing a straight man comic routine here? This is interesting. I didn't know he did that.
I think so. It's a 2-minute bit,
All right.
and he doesn't seem to be very burlesque as he's doing.
No,
it.
he's not. He was a romantic lead, and then he wound up playing villains and killers and that kind of thing,
All right.
And he's in Plan 9. I believe he's a general or something,
Yeah. It says here in the comments that he's General Roberts from Plan 9.
I remember everything.
And before Johnny, you get this wrong, I just remembered something about Joan Blondell. Again, hoping I'm not mistaken because it's coming from this withering noggin up here. But I believe that much later, she would co-star along John Aston in a Night Gallery episode.
Oh, it's possible. She did a lot of TV. She was on a show called Here Come the Brides. She was on that.
Oh, she was
I
on
remember
that. Oh, I had
Yeah,
no idea.
and she's brilliant. If you want to see her acting chops, A Tree Grows in Brooklyn.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
She's brilliant in that one. Brilliant.
I've never seen that one. I got to see that one of these days.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Lyle Talbot. Do not know the other man's name. This is just from Nick Paulau, listed as vaudeville burlesque comedy sketch. Let's see.
It's new to me.
Well, I've got just the doctor for you. You have? When can I see him? Right now. Now? Sure, this is vaudeville. The doctor's right back here.
Well, hello.
Dr. Carroll wants you to meet
No, that's
Lyle
good,
Talbot.
buddy.
I think you can help him.
How do you do, Mr. Talbot? What's your trouble?
Well, it seems that I've been smoking quite a lot lately, Doctor, and I'd like to stop.
Oh, well, I'm sure I can help you.
Oh, fine.
Now, it won't be necessary for you to stop smoking entirely.
No.
There's a new brand of cigarettes on the market that all physicians are prescribing for their patients. We call it the 8-day cigarette.
The 8-day cigarette? Why do you call it that?
Well, that's a professional secret,
Oh,
but
I
if you'd
see.
like to hear it.
Yes, I would very much, Doctor.
Well, it was about 8 years ago, 8 scientists set out on an 8-day cruise. They chartered an 8-masted schooner, and on the 8th day of the 8th month, they sighted 8 islands. Now, they landed on these 8 islands, and after about 8 months more, they discovered 8 different blends of tobacco. They took the 8 different blends of tobacco, and they blended them all together. Now, because of the sequence of 8, they had run into...
What are you doing? Carrying my finger?
What is going on?
the latest thing in medical science. It's called the shock treatment.
Shock treatment?
Mhm.
Well, I'll be seeing you, Lyle. Where are you going? I'm going for an 8-day walk.
That will be $10, please.
$10? Wow, that is a shock. Here you are, Doctor.
Oh, thank you.
I beg your pardon. Have you got a cigarette? Have I got a cigarette? I certainly have. As a matter of fact, this is the latest thing in...
You don't recognize this guy, do you,
So
Bob?
I don't recognize him. I thought he might have been somebody, but no, he's not. But she's obviously a comedian. I mean, I would sense that the guy that Lyle was talking to and her, maybe a team or something. There was something going on. I just feeling it. But she was doing a regular shtick. She had a regular shtick going on there.
Her pace was solid,
No, she was a funny lady. I wonder who she was. I don't know who she was. She was new to
Hey,
me.
John, could you maximize, please, sir?
Yeah.
Did it say who she is?
Medical science.
It does not say.
Okay.
It's called an 8-day cigarette.
That's a funny name. How did it get such a funny name?
Well, you see, that's a professional secret. I wouldn't tell it to a human being, but I'll tell it to you.
What did you
But
guys
it
do?
seems that 8 years ago,
Disturbing.
8 very prominent physicians sailed in 8 ships, and they discovered in the Pacific an archipelago.
Yeah, what's your language, please?
Well, anyway, it seems that these doctors had 8 seeds, tobacco seeds. They planted them on these 8 islands. You're going to like that cigarette.
Yeah, once you get the thing lit, it'll be all right.
Well, anyway, these doctors planted these
tobacco seeds, and they came up with 8 of the finest blends of tobacco. You know, that cigarette isn't going to hurt you one bit.
No, you just dislocate your sacroiliac lighting. That's it.
Well, anyway, after they discovered these 8 tobaccos, these 8 very fine... Say, wait a minute. What have you got, an asbestos finger?
No, this is an 8-day match.
All right.
That was good.
They squeezed Lyle into the routine. I wonder who normally did that part. You know, they squeezed him in the routine. But it's funny the way the way she brought the hand down is funnier than the way he brings that. You know what I'm talking about?
I do.
I can't explain it.
There's a comedian's way of doing it, and there's an actor's way of doing it.
and he almost, the guy's doing his shtick, but he could have used a better hand pushing him down. You know what I'm saying? You know, he's compensating for it. Yeah.
How many rehearsals do you think he had? Just a couple.
Well, that's a good question on these things. Well, he was a pro actor. I mean, even though he did things like Plan 9 and stuff, I'm sure he went out of his way to figure it out, or he watched whoever was doing it. But it looked to me like they said, all right, we need a little name, you know.
Right.
And they put him in and say, Joey, you get out of that, put Lyle in there. And they taught him the routine. And, you know, in burlesque, you know, often a comedian, it's not kind of how Abbott and Costello came together, would go one place and they would do the Susquehanna half routine with a whole new cast and go to another, you know, that was the circuit. So you kind of learn to work with new people. And they said, do you know this bit? I know this bit. And they would, you know, plug people in. So they plugged him into the routine, which was not unheard of, you know. So
lovely. I'm really glad we got to see that. And I'm really glad to see that somebody from Plan 9 from outer space got to do something different and fun.
I have to wonder if that's on the public domain list. Oh, if it is, John.
Oh, it has to be. I mean, I'd be very
you know we're doing that.
Oh, I will love that. All right, so
it's a low, but they did these in the 50s, these low budget movies where they got people from the burlesque scene at that time. You have to remember the burlesque scene was a big thing.
Yeah.
And then thanks to Mayor LaGuardia, he closed the theaters and stuff. It was like a downward and more smutty kind of emphasis on the girls kind of thing. So this is like the sort of the tail of it. You know, Joey Ross and people like that would be doing. And so they found little ways of making this is like a midnight show kind of a movie, an extra movie. You know, after Glenn or Glenda, you can watch this.
Yeah. Oh, I just love that. All right, let's take a look at Rhea Walker. This is from A Night in Hollywood from 1953. We've already seen one of the dancers from that show. Here's Different Curtains and a different dancer.
See, it was high budget.
Rhea Walker.
Hello, Rhea.
Even though it's black and white, and it looks like she's a feisty redhead.
Rhea, I think I knew your cousin, Daya.
Looks like she's wearing curtains herself. It looks like she's wearing some of the back. Scarlett O'Hara of Burlesque. Yeah.
Big reveal coming, I'm guessing.
What you got my attention?
That lady's got some gam. She's out there shaking her stems and making all the boys go gorilla.
Yeah, this is pretty well shot from the movie.
Yeah. Well, I'm guessing this is also one of those things where the assistant cameraman finally gets to be the director. You know, that's everybody goes up a notch. The assistant lighting guy is now the key lighting guy.
The guy who's supposed to direct is sitting on the side going, oh, okay, that looks good.
But I agree. This is we're the type of guys that this young lady wanted to be in her audience because we respect her talents.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think you're right about the red hair.
It sure struck me that way when it first came on.
Wait a minute.
What was that? It was a cut?
That's not a tease. Oh, here it comes.
There's like they do the first number with the whole outfit on.
Yeah.
And then they're like free to dismiss it. Oh my god.
Here's this is the main tease.
Yeah. Woo.
Yeah, talk about Petticoat Junction.
I'm not here for any.
Chris.
Like her chest has eyebrows, has like.
Good.
I was going to say bushy, but I probably shouldn't use that word in
Eyebrows
this
is good.
context.
We're keeping it classy over here.
It's the tassels.
You
Yeah,
enjoy
little-
Rhea's. Yeah.
Another one who was kind of uncharacteristically slim for the time.
Yes, we've seen another a fit, well-fed, fit, healthy girl. Yes.
Yeah.
But she's fit.
Well, she's got to be pretty healthy because she's got
She's not,
the
she's not
articulate Bob
certain where to
standing a
look.
little bit.
I've noticed she doesn't quite know where to look. She's kind of looking at me
Ooh.
directly.
Oh yeah.
Now she's
Probably
looking
hasn't
at the
worked.
camera.
Yeah, it probably hasn't worked with the camera very much.
Because normally they would look down at into the audience, right? Yeah.
Right.
Well,
Now she's
I know
not
this
quite
much.
sure where to look.
I know this much, guys. She's looking at me.
Oh, I know. Only you.
Dale says these days women go to Walmart in such outfits.
Oh, we wish.
Chris says go do the men rock. Oh, she looks cold.
She's got a Marilyn Monroe kind of thing to her face.
She does.
Young Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah, that
Norma,
Norma.
very, very, very sweet looking face.
Yeah, very Norma Jean. I do.
I wonder if these I'm gonna use the proper term for the time. I wonder if these brasiers are like kind of flesh colored because at first I thought, wait a minute.
Yeah, there's a lot of white underwear in this black and white.
Yeah.
Yeah, they would wear for these things. They would wear a flesh-colored, outfit.
Oh, would this be maybe a body stocking?
Could be.
Well, she got panties on.
No, yeah, she does.
Right.
I'm wondering if she's wearing pasties.
This print is not the greatest print, but you could see through her top, so it's obviously a bra.
Raphael, I just want to assure you we've already tested it. I believe we should be okay if YouTube is consistent, although it almost never is.
I feel public domain about this very much so.
I think that might be why there are so many of these clips, Bob, on YouTube. There are so many.
Nobody was following the copyright. These things had a life of 1 week and to say it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
walking around with the print, going to theaters, showing it, and taking the print and going to another theater.
Right. Yeah, this is not something you wanted to get caught with because the Vice Squad might have something to say about it.
Yeah.
Oh, what's coming off? Oh, yeah, okay, no,
nothing.
She had to go,
John. See,
it's always a tease. Always a tease.
All right, now coming up, I think.
Oh, this is interesting. What is that?
Yeah, this is
Taffy
O'Neal, the Candy Kid.
All right. Taffy
has a little more voluptuous looking for the time.
Yeah, she has more of the figure you see in a lot of these late night movies, as opposed to the other two girls who were fairly, like we said, could be dancers first.
Right. Yeah. Right.
And this isn't her first rodeo. Let's put it that way. She's probably done this for a while.
I believe this gal was touring quite a bit, had quite a bit of a career.
She worked with Weber and Fields. And
Bob, Weber and Fields, was that it was Sid Fields? Who was
no. So there's a Sid Fields. Joe Weber and Lou Fields were like the first comedy team, like an Abbott and Costello. They actually originated the eye poke the Stooges did. They threw custard pies on stage. And they worked with Margaret Dumont way before the Marx Brothers worked with Margaret Dumont.
And I love Margaret Dumont.
But look them up, Weber and Fields. They were also the first comedy act that used to feud and break up, like a la Martin Lewis, a la, you accused Laurel and Hardy of doing that. They didn't, but, they were very famous for their breakups and reconciliations. And Google them, and they created the Watt Street routine, which, What Street? Yes, you know, it's evolved into so many other things. Also, we only have 5 cents. When the bartender asks you if you want a drink, you refuse. Abbott and Costello. A lot of that is all Weber and Fields.
Wow.
Yeah, and there's some films of theirs. The little one had a big fat stomach, but it was really a pad, so the other one could punch him and kick him in the stomach, and he wore a hat which had he took quite a pummeling, the little one, in that act.
That's so.
Yeah.
Now, that Weber, I have not looked it up. Is he a 1B Weber or a 2B Weber?
He is not a 2B. To be or not to be. No, I believe he's a 1B Weber, Joe Weber, and you definitely look him up. And they were old guys. I mean, they lived a long time.
Wow.
And I think they're in the movie Lily and Russell. They have a scene where they're playing Casino, the card game, and they're backstage and they do a routine. And it's fascinating. They look like they're about 90 each, and they're doing this routine. But supposedly they really had issues with each other. But just, Lou Fields went on his own.
Yeah.
Weber went on his own. But eventually they would bring them together because of for the money and whatever. So you can find them. They did what's called a Dutch act. They did German dialect. Although they were probably both Jewish, but there's a whole thing about Dutch acts. Is it Dutch comedian, Dutch? My feeling, and no one ever. Some people maybe think this too. Sprechen Sie Deutsch was an Dutch is an alliteration of Deutsch, so it was a German. But at some point, Germans weren't very popular, especially in World War One. So they would say Dutch, but it wasn't Dutch; it was German. Or German Jewish, you could say. And of course, they didn't want to say Jewish either. So Dutch could be anything, right? Foreign,
Foreign. They weren't saying Teutonic, but
yes.
Yeah, it's so funny.
Was you there?
Was you there, Sonny?
Was you there, Charlie?
Oh God, I love it.
Well, John, all I know is that if there's a Joe Weber out there, it's probably a good thing it's a 1B Weber. Because otherwise, they might think he's our son. we don't want false parental allegations out there.
Absolutely. Although,
is this lady lovely?
She's beautiful. Weber Fields played 2 characters often, Maya, and what was the other one? One was called Maya, and Maya, Meyer, which sounds Jewish. Maya's a Jewish name.
Yes.
Maya, and I can't remember the other guy's name.
There's only one trouble with a combination of lazy eyes and sexy clips. Is when that happens to me, you get this a lot.
Wait a minute, let me get a good look here.
They have the camera a little tighter on her. That's interesting.
Yeah, they do. Well, I think she might be, the star.
Oh, I see.
She could be the headliner or the next to the headliner because.
Does the poster on the left correspond to the film? If so, because she would be the star.
Is she Taffy O'Neill? Is that her?
That is Taffy O'Neill.
Yeah.
Oh, so she is the star.
Yeah, I don't know if what we're watching is literally from Billiken.
Because they could just put that as an illustration, but
yeah. I mean, it could just be.
But you know what? The outfits look similar. Of course, that could be something she uses a lot. But
the Follies Theater in L.A. is the setting for this filmed show. Features comedians as well as several dancers, including the headliner.
So that it's probably a theater that they were playing at, and they shot this during the day.
That makes sense. That makes a ton of sense. Bring the cameras in. You've already got the stage there. Well, if she's got a third portion to this, I'm going full screen. Here we go.
All right.
Oh yes, absolutely. Well, okay, this one
she's got a great
probably
body.
Just pasties, right? I don't see a bra.
Pasties, yeah, they all had pasties.
Yeah, somebody got a hold of some decent glue.
Who was the lucky technician who got to apply that?
I think the girls
would put on there.
I think the girls would either lick it or spit on it and put it on and stay. I mean, you want to be the pasty sticker on it? There is.
I like your idea too, Bob.
I have to tell you though that there is a term, and I wish I could remember what it is. During burlesque acts, there's always somebody who runs up and picks up the stuff.
Yeah.
Picks up the clothing, and I wish I could remember the term for that. But there is someone who does that.
There is someone who does that in professional wrestling. They call it the jacket kid.
Yeah.
They send the jacket kid out to pick up my jacket.
I'm so sorry I can't remember the term. Usually a young dancer on the rise, you know.
Sure. She is mesmerizing. I apologize for not having anything witty to say right now.
Oh, just enough. Just enough.
Just enough so the place doesn't get raided.
Yeah.
Now, who is she looking at?
Well, me again.
What was that cut? That was a cut, right? Yeah.
No, the person who picks up the clothes is not a rodeo clown. Although, in burlesque, you could send a clown out there if you wanted.
There is a term. They use them nowadays, even the modern day burlesque. There's always somebody who runs out.
Oh, yeah. Have you worked many modern day burlesque shows?
I worked at a place called the Blue Angel on 55 Walker Street back in the 90s. And it was a place that Drew Barrymore went topless one night. About it on Letterman. I used to stand up there. Very, very profitable. Uda Hun ran the room. And I forget what I made for stand up in those days, either $40 or $60. It was pretty good. And the girls would do dances, and they had a comedian like myself occasionally. I was MC on occasion.
Yeah.
Dominic Chianese, who plays Uncle Junior on The Sopranos, his son was an MC there. Dominic Chianese Jr. Dom, I call him Dom.
Nice.
And I forget what the MC was paid $80, and you had to work all night. You know, I always preferred just to do my set and go home or do 2 sets. But one of the girls, you know, after the girls would do their act, they'd go in the audience and they would get tips, you know. And I never did that. I would do my act, of course, or whatever. So, you know, I worked with derbies, you know, I worked with hats. One of the girls was always very nice. She said, "Oh, you deserve some extra money." And she would grab my hat and she'd go in the audience and she would get me cab fare to get home, you know, a little extra money.
That is lovely. That is, there's no business like show business, you know.
She'd say, "Bob, why don't you go in?" And says, "No, I was like, oh no, I'm a comedian. I don't know what to get there." "No, but you deserve it." And she'd grab my hat and she'd go into the audience.
I want to thank Bob right now for reminding me that there is different definitions for the word set, because I was concentrating on a different set just now. So.
No, a set. Set is a set. Well, there's 2 sets. Yes.
So now this is a talk show with Gypsy Rose Lee
and her friends.
Yes, her friends.
What kind of friends does she have?
You'll find out.
One of them, Bob, is Lainey Kazan.
Oh, God bless her. I work with her on Tango Shalom, which is currently available, I think, on Amazon Prime as Forbidden Tango.
Nice.
I think somewhere along the lines in recent times, the word Shalom was not very popular, and the distributor changed it to Forbidden Tango, which I think is terrible. But anyway, Forbidden Tango sounds like a porno film. But if you watch the film 2 minutes, you realize this is a Jewish story. But yeah, Lainey's wonderful. Lainey's wonderful.
I do love her, and she was a real she posed for Playboy.
Yes.
In late 60s, early 70s.
Yeah. She's a great singer, performer.
Yeah.
And now she's into she plays like Jewish mom. She's in the Greek movie, my fat Greek, whatever. She's in those movies. She's in Tango Shalom. Which is my favorite year. She makes me cry in that movie with
oh my God, I loved her in My Favorite Year.
Svani, yeah, wonderful.
Mom, he's an actor, not a river.
That's right.
Okay, so here we go. Let's take a little look. Maybe we're here for the whole time. I don't know. We can bag out anytime we want.
Gypsy Rose and her friends.
Nice that could be said about a young woman has been said about our guest.
A little list.
Lainey Kazan.
Lainey Kazan.
1967, Lainey.
Sultry. Honey, it's a wonderful look. You don't have to wear anything with it.
No, I thought I put my disguise on, but don't pull it. I next show I had to look a little different. I
Well, the
feel
Dixie's hairdos.
Well, you should, dear, because with wearing all
Can you
that.
find my face?
Yes, of course you can. It's very exciting. It's wonderful.
It's
I
fun.
think this
She is
long-haired
lovely.
look is wonderful when you don't have to grow it. If you
That's
can go right out in the store and buy it and glue it, just sort of put it on with a hairpin. That's great.
It's great, except when you take it off at night. It's just a terrible shock. It really is. You feel so glamorous and marvelous all day, and then you look at yourself in the night, and you have little pin curls all over your head with all
Honey, the
Bob.
most terrible thing we ever happened.
Gypsy Rose Lee's sister is June Havoc, an actress. If you know the movie Gypsy, they talk about baby June, right? That's June Havoc. And Gypsy did, American movies, Hollywood movies, but they wouldn't use her name Gypsy Rose Lee. They would use a different name. She's in Alibaba Goes to Town with Eddie Cantor, and they give her a name like Louise Hole something. I have no idea why don't they use. What's the commercial value of using Gypsy Rose Lee and not saying Gypsy Rose Lee? But they didn't.
Joe. Excuse me, Bob. Bob.
He's Joe. He's Joe.
Poor John is so routed tonight.
Charlie, was you there, Charlie? Yes.
Well, I can tell you exactly what it was. The church would find out that Gypsy Rose Lee was going to be in something, and they would send people out to protest sight unseen.
Yeah.
So she could be just a regular actress, but if that name was there, it draws the attention of, the... Okay, do you think Eartha has coffee in that cup or tea or...
Well, there's a coffee pot on the table.
I don't know. Eartha's got what she's got.
Oh, I do believe she might have a little orange pico.
She has the blood of her lovers in there.
Oh, poor Eartha, always overshadowed by Julie Newmar, but really.
Eartha wearing her
great
bathrobe?
Catwoman,
What's
too.
going on here? What's happening with Eartha, put something on.
I'm going to go out in my big fuzzy coat. Any objections? I didn't think so.
I like the idea of Eartha Kitt and Lady Kazan. This is actually a very good concept.
Right? I mean, look, you got Gypsy Rose Lee, Eartha Kitt, Lady Kazan, all on the same couch. I'd be at home, laughing right along and enjoying all their stories about wigs.
Yeah.
Gypsy likes to talk, though. She keeps turning to the camera and she's talking.
I wonder when she knew she wanted to do a talk show. Because, 1967, you could do a local show. I don't know anything about this one, but it might have been, exclusive to Los Angeles or something.
Well, she had the cachet of the musical Gypsy, of course, based on her book, Gypsy.
Right.
And probably this is, I forget what year the movie Gypsy came out, but probably this is sort of the afterglow of her as a noted author,
right.
Celebrated author, as opposed to a striptease artist,
Yeah.
So.
Right. Well, and that was part of the, sexual revolution, frankly, was to look at people who had done that kind of work and show a little respect and, let it be.
Eartha was very saucy in her day. That was a whole thing that she
She was saucy well past her day.
Well, I'm just saying that was part of her shtick, and I guess Lainey as well at this point, right?
Oh, sure. Now, I can't remember when Lainey posed, but I imagine when she posed for Playboy. It was a very big deal.
Now, Barbara, you referring to the Gypsy movie that starred Natalie Wood? Because I came across
and the musical that's currently on Broadway is based on.
In my meager research, I think I discovered that was maybe a few years before this came out. So
a few years before.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So I'm just saying that may be part of the afterglow of.
Oh, sure.
Wouldn't surprise me at all.
The musical probably was still on Broadway at that point.
Yeah.
Right. Now, I had thought that Gypsy had written her first book around like the early 50s, because I think I think I remember some reference to it on radio shows like Jack Benny.
Well, I can tell you this: she wrote something in the 40s called the G String Murders.
Oh,
which
I've
is
heard of it.
a film called which they made a film about called, I think it's called The Lady from Burlesque. I think so. It's Barbara Stanwyck. If you look up something with burlesque in it,
Yes.
and the Pinky Lee is in it. Pinky Lee is wonderful. Pinky Lee and Barbara Stanwyck do a dance number that is phenomenal. And it's based on, it's supposed to be Minsky's theater. I don't think they say Minsky, but it's some theater like a Minsky's. And there's a murder.
Yeah.
And it's called, and it's, I think it's either the lady from Burlesque or the lady of Burlesque. There's something with lady and burlesque in it. It's a wonderful movie. But I think she wrote that in the 40s. It might have been a short story, not a book. And maybe she got into books later on. But she was always writing. And I don't remember where I was, where I saw something where they were talking about burlesque, and someone talked about her being a striptease artist, and then that person was corrected. No, she was a talking woman, which it's a different place. Yeah.
You can hear the theme music is
"Let Us Entertain You." So this is her getting her 15 minutes of fame from that. I mean, she was already famous, but you know what I mean. That extra.
Exactly.
Well, next stage of 15 minutes for sure.
Correct.
Yeah.
I think we have an answer in the comments as far as when Lainey here posed for Playboy.
Oh. Thank you, Raphael. October of 1970. That was very brave. That could be a make it or break it thing in 1970.
Absolutely.
And this is from the 60s, right? The show.
67. Yeah.
This is from 67.
3 years before that. Yeah. Lainey's pretty young here. I mean, she's pretty young.
She is. I don't know what she was doing in 67, but yeah, she looks very young.
She did a Las Vegas act, and she probably did a nightclub act at that time. She was an understudy for Barbara Streisand, but never got on for Funny Girl.
You're kidding me. I had no idea.
Yeah, she tells some story about it. I think maybe they let her on once. Barbara let her on once.
Wow.
But there's a famous story about her calling all her friends and relatives, and Barbara decided to go on it.
I'm amazed that we can get all the way to Barbara Streisand from this.
Oh yeah. Everything leads to Barbara Streisand.
And it occurs me watching
right
now that she may have been one of the first MILFs, as we know.
Who, Lainey, you mean, or
no? Gypsy.
Oh, possibly, yeah.
I mean, it's working for me.
She was liberated before that term. I think she was.
Oh, sure.
She was out there, you know.
There were a few women who managed to do that back in the day, weren't there? Mae West being one of them.
There's an outtake of Abbott and Costello from Pardon My Sarong, and they're in this setting. You know, they're not cannibals or anything, but they're tropical people. You know,
the natives.
Natives, but they're not. They're Gilligan's Island natives, not
right.
And they're doing a scene, and all of a sudden, I don't forget. Costello turns to Abbott and says, "Oh, I was over at Minsky's theater last week." He says, "Oh, how's the theater?" And Lou says, "Same old hole." He says, "Oh yeah, hey, how about our old dressing room at Minsky's? How was that?" And Lou says, "Same old hole." "Hey, I think Gypsy Rose Lee was playing there. How's she?" "Same old."
Outtake. That was an outtake,
Same
right?
Old, yeah, it's really funny, and then everybody laughs, you know. So, but interesting.
Well, all I know is that all cougars are kittens to me now.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
You know what she's doing here? She's having an orgasm. What's going on here?
That was some really good shtick.
Yeah.
Yeah, Eartha got
a girl.
She
you can see she's a tall girl, but she's sitting down. But look at her.
Yeah.
She's tall.
Look at those gams.
Eartha's tiny, right? Eartha was tiny, wasn't she? Yeah, I think she was.
Yeah, she was small.
Oh.
She was 5'2", 5'3", I think.
I think so. I'm trying to figure out if Eartha wants to get off the show right now. What's going on here?
What's Lady gonna do here?
What happened? Hey,
come on. Do a dance? Let's see what happens.
Stand up and sing to your family. Gotta love this. Peel me a grape, crush me some ice, skin me a peach.
That's her.
And that's a girl who should have gotten on stage, Miss Streisand.
I was throwing her dollar bill.
Well, she has a Streisand look. Look at her.
She does.
Young Streisand. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
But that's disrespectful of throwing crumpled up dollar bills right at them.
Look at
Supposed
her.
to gently throw them onto the stage.
Earth has got her own way of doing things.
Yeah, I
Oh,
guess so.
she wants to get up there too.
I always found that uncomfortable. I used to know the Joe Franklin shows. I would get up and start doing a number. And there's a couch. It looks awkward, doesn't it? Like,
Well, maybe for Joe, but not here.
I think there was a time where people thought that like Playboy After Dark, as Raphael mentioned.
someone just gets up and just
There was this.
It's so awkward to me. Look at the people behind her. They don't know where to react.
Exactly. How long is this number?
Well, now she's throwing dollar bills at herself, so I guess it's not too bad.
Well, you remember the Flip Wilson show had that strange thing where the performers were on a little stage and the audience was around. And I think Hefner did the similar. Hefner did a thing where the comedian would be in the audience talking.
Yeah.
And then people are laughing. They usually had gorgeous girls to the left and right. Yeah. But it's just like, it's an odd, I guess it's sort of a non-way. It was like trying to break, like it's not the Ed Sullivan show.
I think it's also more intimate, exactly.
Yeah. I think
Elvis, his 68 special, did the same thing.
But the lady knows where she's looking at. Now she's not looking at the right. Now she's got the right camera, but she knows where to play. You know what I mean?
It's one of those cases too of a camera loving somebody.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
She ain't perfect, but she's perfectly imperfect.
Yeah, she's great.
I wonder if that wasn't more what Mike Douglas was going for and what Merv Griffin was going for, which was the spontaneous, who knows what's going to happen next.
Well, you remember Orson Welles, I don't know, on the Merv Griffin, he'd be leaning over doing magic tricks, sitting there, But I think on Merv Griffin, they had a place to do their act, and then they would come and sit, sort of like Carson.
Yeah.
I recall it. They had a couch, of course.
Right. No, I remember that on Merv. Yeah.
I have to say something about Merv Griffin. I caught a show. It had to do with the big riots in the 60s in L.A. I'm trying to remember where it was. Anyway, Dick Gregory was on the show. Right. And Merv says to Dick, "What's going on? What don't we understand?" And Dick sits down for an entire hour and explains the problems between blacks and whites, in L.A. It's the whole show. Everybody is being bumped, and he's apologizing. Yeah. And the whole show is Dick Gregory discussing, what the white people don't know what's going on. I mean, people make fun of Merv Griffin, but he actually stopped the show to do that. It was great. It's a great hour.
You
can find it anywhere. Dick Gregory, I guess, in the early 60s, I gather.
Dick Gregory was a fascinating comedian because he would always talk about the day he stopped being funny because he couldn't continue to see the inequities in how races were treated. And it wasn't until he decided to talk about that he got his voice back.
Right.
That was his story. And kind of loved that.
Right when it started getting good, the three of them on the floor together, oh, well.
I know.
Now, here's another clip that Joe Townsville found for us. This is Lily
St. Cyr, right?
That's right.
This is a very low budget. This is a basement. Look at this. Look at that. What is that? A sheet? A shower curtain? What is that? Why there? Look at that.
And they had enough left over to make her dress. That's nice.
It's faux. It's creasy.
It's like a reversible outfit or something. It's interesting. I do like this observation, Raphael. I think you're right that Graham Norton does do this on the couch thing. We got to give him credit for that. Mike Sauter saying Bob Crane was a guest a number of times on the Gypsy Rose Lee talk show.
Really?
And then Chris says the Mike Douglas shoe, or Amsterdam, doing 30 minutes of jokes with suggestions from the audience. Oh, that sounds like fun.
That's good improv. Now, Gypsy's definitely one of the more voluptuous of the era.
Lily's great.
Lily.
Oh, look at that pretty smile.
She could have done Technicolor Samuel Goldwyn movies. Look at this.
Oh, yeah, she could have. What a great cheekbones.
Yeah, no, she's got the Hollywood look.
Yeah, got that
If I could get a close up of her.
Getting a Jamie Presley vibe from her face.
Yes.
I'm seeing that.
Which
Wow,
I
she could have
love.
played Bobby. She could have played Bobby.
My goodness. You know, just when you think you've seen all the gorgeous blondes of the 50s, you know, your Mamie Van Dorens, your Jane Mansfield.
Yeah, look, she's got a Margot Robbie. Look at her face.
Yeah.
There you go, Margot Robbie. Yeah.
Margot Robbie. Look at that.
Now we're gonna see some really good Lily St. Cyr stuff. She is just fantastic.
She had really good
John, I
outfits.
commend you for
She was
still
known
being able
for
to
her
say
outfits,
Lily
yeah.
St. Cyr.
The great striptease artists all had either they were seamstresses or they had great people working for them, like a Bob Backy or a Burlesque. You know?
Right.
You had to be able to get out of the outfits. You had to be able to get back into the outfits.
Right. The outfit had to travel. The outfit had to be something you could see from the back row. Very eye-catching and sheer, as you can see.
Good timing on that, John.
The set was left over from Plan 9 from Outer Space. May have been, you know.
I mean, they didn't exactly steam those curtains, did they?
I'm telling you, it's someone's basement or the back room of Irving Claw movie star dudes.
Yeah, we'll know for sure if we see like a cockpit with folding chairs in it.
I don't know. No, I'm. You know, this is the private little production.
Right. This is not
the
something
earlier stuff you showed looks like an A film. I'm comparatively speaking. I don't think this is a theater. Do you? I don't think it's a theater.
I don't think so. I think you're right about a basement. It's probably like some old speakeasy.
A warehouse that they can rent.
Could be a warehouse. I mean, it's interesting. It's not, I don't think, a performance space because I don't see enough cigar smoke.
No, it's somebody's garage or it's a basement or. But she looks beautiful.
Oh, those eyes are captivating.
And the equipment, they paid for the equipment.
Yes, a color camera. That wasn't an easy thing to get back in those days.
Yeah. I wonder if this is Eastman. Must be Eastman color. Let's look at that.
Could be. Those are
red,
some very warm colors.
Yeah. And this is a little faded, but it still looks good.
Yeah. Those are fishnets. You could barely make it out of this.
I can't see that. Yeah, they're fishnets.
Because she's the catch of the day.
Ah.
Steal
You've got bated breath, haven't you?
Well, the first person who uses the word hooker loses.
Yeah, I'm going to refrain from saying
halibut.
I'll refrain from making any more fish jokes when referring to a near naked woman. So,
all right, where are we now? Is that her again?
That is still her. Yeah.
Wow, she's just a knockout.
Second part of her act, I believe, and this lighting I absolutely love.
Well, this is a very, I mean, it's like film school lighting. Actually, it's like the light strip right over here, right? They put the thing there. It's great though. Although I assume she did this in Burlesque, so she probably she may have had a lighting person on this to work with.
Oh no, what does this mean? The Leonard Barr story starring John Weber.
Oh, I'd pay money to see that.
I remember him on, he was D. Martin's uncle, wasn't he? He used to be on the D. Martin show.
Oh, yeah.
He would sit
watched
in the green room waiting to go on the D. Martin show. They would put him on when they needed extra time or fill time, I should say, not extra time.
We have actually showed portions of the Dean Martin show before. Again, copyright doesn't kick our ass on that one. And I've never seen that stuff before. It is so funny.
Oh, I saw it first run. I love the Dean Martin show. I loved it. Of course, he never drank. You know that, right?
Right? No, you're serious about that.
Like that, yeah. There was so many stories of people like sipping his orange juice, swimming his vodka or gin. It was just orange juice, but he acted
Right. Well, now I am guessing that the other thing that they would say about him is true, like when Bob Newhart would say, "Wow, when we rehearsed this number, it went perfectly. Dean, you should have been there."
Yeah, he was never at rehearsal. Him and Jackie Gleason both never went to rehearsal. It was usually somebody else, a producer or a stand-in.
That's wild.
And yeah, they would just do it. Just do it. Yeah, Dino would come in for one day to shoot the show.
That is wild.
Bob, it's time for your Betty Page story.
There you go.
Oh, Betty Page. Well, no, basically, I used to go to a place called Movie Star News in New York City to buy stills. And they had also, besides Hollywood stills of Laurel and Hardy and things that I was interested in, Buster Keaton, they had under the table these kind of, S&M photos. And they were famous for that because they couldn't advertise, we got Betty Page in S&M poses or whatever. Right. They had places from Movie Star News, and then you come in and you'd ask for certain things or a brown paper bag or whatever it was.
Plain brown wrapper.
And they would shoot a lot of these things in the back. This looks like it may have been in a studio, but they would shoot things in the back. Irving Klaw and his sister. I met his sister several times. And I met Irving once as well.
Oh, wow.
And he would always ask me, you want anything else? You want anything else? And I guess that was the, no, I wanted Laurel and Hardy. 14, 15. Anything else you'd like? Yeah, Buster Keaton.
You don't want Betty Page? Betty Page.
I didn't know. There were a lot of places, and I remember there was a guy named Kyers on 9th Avenue, I think in the 40s, near where I live now, actually. He had old movie stills and stuff, and I followed him around to buy stills and things. Wow. And he was legit, but there were some places similar to him that they were just a front. And I remember being with my dad in the Village, Greenwich Village, New York City, and they had all these Hollywood pictures in the front. And I go in and I'm thumbing through these pictures of, I don't know, Clark Gable, Gene Hall, and all of a sudden there's like guys taking it up the ass and whatever, So I'm looking at it and I'm asking, "Do you have any Laurel and Hardy?" And then my father sees this, and my father says, "I don't think they have Laurel and Hardy." Let's go. It was really funny. And the guy who ran the place should have realized, it's not a place for. I don't know what he was thinking, but anyway.
Now, guys, I have to ask you, does it get any better than this?
Oh, she's in the bathtub, yeah.
She's in the bath. She had her bath maidens help her in, and not without
I always
too
feel
much.
sorry for Betty Page because I look at her and I think she could have had she could have been in movies, like she was funny as a. But I don't know. Maybe she couldn't act, but she's very personable. She has a great screen presence.
Yeah.
I always wondered. I mean, I think she did try to get into the films legit, but either she just took a wrong turn, or she did some of these kind of things, and it blacklisted her. You know what I mean? It was
that happened a lot.
In Hollywood, if you worked, the monogram or the low budget, the B things, it was very hard to go from that to a picture. And I mean, Bela Lugosi started doing those kind of things, and he couldn't get back to Universal, and he couldn't get because they were once you work down at down there, on the other side of the tracks, you stay there.
Yes,
but no, it had to work.
It was there was no blurring of the lines in those days.
That was Irving Klaw, I think. Not that's how he kind of looked. That probably was him. Interesting.
You know what? We rarely do this, but it's worth it. Let's go back and try again.
Do you think I think it's Irving Klaw. I don't know if it's mentioned. Yeah, I think that's him. Yeah.
Does that look like Irving?
Yeah, he was much older when I met him.
Of course. Yeah. So this is 63.
I'll look him up later, see if that's the same guy. Yeah.
I don't want to say what year I was born, but it was the same year that this was shot.
Oh yeah.
Again, Lily St. Cyr.
This could be the storeroom of Movie Star News at this place.
Yeah, interesting beginning of this clip because she actually gets dressed. She doesn't do the reverse. She started off in her garters and bra and everything.
There is a burlesque dance where they start naked and they get dressed. So
That is funny.
yeah, there is. I mean, it's a tradition. There is a tradition of that. Girl comes out holding a suitcase, and just trying to cover her naked body, and then she pulls things out.
Bob, I don't know if you ever saw our mutual friend Justin Stangle. I believe you know Justin. Do you know Justin?
Doesn't ring a bell at the moment, but you know.
I was in a sketch show with Justin, and he had a bit where he would come on literally wearing like 20 layers of clothing. And he would start to strip it off, and they would play the music, which was Alice's Restaurant.
Oh.
And they would cut away, do another sketch, and then come back into like, the 10th minute. And he'd still have so many clothes on. And the whole idea was it took him like 20 minutes to strip all the clothes off.
Wow. It's very funny.
This is interesting. Diana J. Brody says, according to Perplexity, Betty Page refused the casting couch culture and add that to her risque modeling and apparently mental health issues late in life. It held her back from becoming an actress. That's true. She disappeared for many, many years.
Yeah, I mean, something happened. It's sad. I just could see her doing so many. Like being in a Red Skelton movie or something as his girlfriend. You can see it, or the ditzy secretary or something.
Yeah.
But she didn't go that route. Yeah, They say, Marilyn Monroe supposedly slept with a lot of people. Who knows? Maybe they just say that. Who knows? I tell you.
It certainly was the culture that actresses, and this went on for hundreds of years.
Yeah, Jean Harlow supposedly slept with,
Yeah. And honestly, it's funny because Joe and I obviously do a lot of Star Trek stuff. And anytime people are saying things about Majel Barrett or Nichelle Nichols, how they had affairs with Gene Roddenberry, it's like, okay, but they were still talented. They were still good. I mean, it was very hard to get those jobs. If somebody wanted to say yes,
if there were rumors to that, yeah, there was. There's a lot, and you hear worse stories of someone raping somebody and things.
Oh yeah. No, it wasn't. It wasn't always consensual.
It was terrible that they would feel they had to sleep with someone for the job, but then to be saying no and getting raped.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah.
No, it was not a good. I think was it Daryl of Zanuck? From 5 to 6, the studio would take a hiatus or a siesta while he had some girl, somebody that
some starlet
stupping.
Yeah.
Next day probably had a few lines in the next picture being shot there.
Yeah. Terrible. No, it's funny. I was just reading about one of my favorite authors up to this point, Neil Gaiman. Apparently, it was terrible like that. Just within years, like it's recent. There's still guys out there being that horrible pig.
No, I heard. A comedy producer that I love, supposedly, I heard say, hearsay, whatever. He bragged about having Jean Harlow on his couch in his office. They bragged about it.
Well, probably a lot of the time more for that purpose than for the sexual satisfaction, just the bragging rights.
Yeah.
Oh, there's still guys doing that too. Anyway, let's cleanse our palate with the beautiful Lily St. Cyr,
who's gone through at least 3 wonderful costume changes so far.
Beautiful. She's another one who could have been a major star. I'm being judgmental about it, but you think to yourself, it'd be nice to be in a real movie, quote unquote.
Oh, absolutely. There was no reason that, say, Lily St. Cyr, no reason for her to ever believe that millions of people could see this.
Right.
Because in the world in which it was made, you could get in trouble for being in the building while this movie was being shown, depending on where you were and who caught you.
Now, generally, if you ever wondered why your wives took so long to get ready when you have a dinner reservation, this is what's going on.
Oh,
Hose
okay.
off, hose back on.
Oh, this is contemporary titling, though. I don't think she ever did something.
Yeah. So I'm back. This is somebody who packaged these, but
Yeah,
I'm
variety.
backing out of the music because I don't.
Not a
trust
bad print. And this
What
is
a
definitely
doll.
this is an Irving Claw type thing. You feel it.
it. Yeah.
Although
Yeah,
the floor is very nice, I must say.
Yeah,
Look,
that's
somebody's curtains. Look at somebody's curtains. Look, the rod is not even. It's like all misshapen.
I worked for many years as a janitor, and the first thing I think when I see the wide shot is somebody did a great job waxing that floor.
Yeah. Did they have someone come in to wax it for the shoot? I don't know. Look,
It's
this
Betty
anyone's,
Page.
could be anyone's living room. Could be a foyer could be a lobby to the building. Yes.
Of course, Dirty Minded Joe, when you guys say wax, I think it's something else entirely.
Oh,
Well,
you stop that. Oh, good heaven.
Didn't she become religious towards the end? Did she live in a church or in a church basement? And
I think
Betty
that
Hutton,
was,
you know, the famous Hollywood actress, Betty Hutton wound up that way too at the end of her life.
you get a
These
community.
women got really burnt by Hollywood. They really did.
Yes. Linda Lovelace ended up very religious and very involved in church.
That's right. Yeah.
It's a community. I totally get it. It's a judgmental community, but
She could have made quite $1 in later years because she had such a comeback, you know, Betty Page, but she didn't want to be. She didn't like how she looked. She didn't want to be seen, and I get that. And she had become religious, and she didn't.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I mean, this is not really related, but the actor who played Porky, you know, the Little Rascals, Otay Pikey Porky, he became an English professor at
Did he?
Southampton College, yeah, and he did not like to discuss. He would Otay Porky. He did not want to discuss that. And you know, if you pushed him against the wall, he'd admit it. But he was not one of the guys who showed up on TV shows. This high-end college people going, "Okay," you know, for the cameras. He wasn't going to do that. So
I think it's so funny you should bring that up because I remember watching the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson still, and oh my gosh,
Robert Blake, you mean?
You mind reader, the amazing Kreskin Greenberg folks.
He was Mickey Gubatosi when he was one of the Our Gang kids. Yeah, he was the worst. I thought his line readings were terrible.
He used to get in fights as an adult because people would be making fun of that, and he would actually fight you.
Darla Hood talked about. I met Darla Hood, you know, Darla from Little Rascals.
Oh, she was one of my crushes for sure.
Oh, she was beautiful. And I have to tell you, in 1978, the Sons of the Desert, which is the international Laurel and Hardy fraternity, had their first national convention. So she's there with her daughter. Her daughter was like 17, let's say, right? Had the same face, but taller and an incredible body. You know, Darla was short, even this, you know, still good looking though. And they showed up. They had a costume party, and they showed up dressed like babies, you know, like wearing little diapers. A lot of skin was being shown, you know, on both of them. And all these Laurel and Hardy buffs were like, and this is the era of 78. You know, who had cap? You know, now I have a bazillion pictures on my phone. Nobody had, you know, like take a picture took an effort, you know. So so it's funny, I don't have any pictures, but there are some pictures somewhere. But she was a darling doll. But she talked about when they were at Howard Roach Studios, Robert McGowan, the other directors, they never made them feel like they were making a movie. Like they kind of played with them and kind of say, "Oh, why don't you do this?" And you know, and there was a bit of fun involved, and they didn't feel, you know, that they were actors. But when their contract was sold to MGM in the late 30s, that's when Robert Blake started to work with them.
Right.
All of a sudden, you know, they had to hit a mark. The lighting was set. They rehearsed them, and there's no spontaneity. There's no, you know, it's all this kind of rote delivery of lines, and it just sapped the life out. But at the Hal Roach studio, because they started with the kids in the silent days, they had a way of just playing with them and making them feel like they felt like they were having fun. They were playing games and stuff and say it this way. And if the kid said it his own way, Otay Panky or whatever, that was great. They didn't correct them. The kids were real.
Yeah.
They were, you know.
It's really funny because now that you mention it, I could definitely see the difference between how some of them were done, and they would use wide shots and more of the kids would be in the shot. And then later there would be like that, like we were talking about before, there'd be like that one shot with that little, hesitation before the kid says the line.
Right.
And they're not that engaged in the scene. They're just doing the line here, line there.
There was a lot of. They seem to be having fun in the Hal Roach ones from the 30s. They all seem to be having a good time, and the adults seem to have a good time. But those later ones, I don't know. It was just very cut and dry and over rehearsed and overwritten, and and they also often shot in sequence at the Hal Roach studio, which is something nobody would do today. Stan Laurel shot in sequence.
Yeah.
So so you could go from scene to scene, and they knew what was happening.
Right.
Whereas they probably shot things out of order for the kids. Were like, wait, So I mean, Stan Laurel had that problem when he left Roach, and they were working for MGM and without being under the auspices of Roach and 20th Century Fox. And they would do a scene or whatever. Say, oh, what if we do this in this scene? And they go, no, Mr. Laurel, we shot yesterday, you and Mr. Hardy leaving the building, and nothing was, there was no ink on your shirt. There was no tears. So you can't do this gag here because we already shot the end part. Well, that would never have happened at Roach Studio because they wouldn't have shot that part yet.
Right. Oh, wow.
But then again, at Roach, they would leave all the sets, whatever they needed, standing through the entire production.
Yeah.
So they would shoot something, then they'd go back and shoot the follow-up. It was a different, but the Hollywood system, the way they would make movies today, you cut. You say, oh, every scene in the car, we do it today. Every scene we do outside the house, we do it, and then they cut them. So there's no room for a spontaneity where something happens and someone's hat gets busted or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, isn't it interesting because I feel like there are certain actors and directors who went back to the Hal Roach way of sort of brainstorming and what's really funny and what can we think of now. And I think of that with Will Ferrell in an Adam McKay movie.
He's very loose, and they do multiple. They do like 100 different takes and things like that.
Different takes.
Yeah, and that goes back to the spontaneity of it. A lot of the comedians like Lou Costello, Jackie Gleason, they like the spontaneity of it.
Absolutely.
I mean, the Abbott Costello films are notorious for like not giving their cues to the other actors, and you just had to get your line in somehow, So
one of the things that I always loved, and I will never stop singing the praises of Margaret Dumont. He says, while Betty Page writhes on the floor like a python.
I know we're discussing Robert Blake. Oh, look at this. This is Betty Page. Yes.
Well, we had to talk about something and bring it down a little bit.
Well, it's funny. It's like a burlesque show. We're talking comedy and this naked women.
Oh, of course.
Right. We're backstage playing cards. Talking about.
I do have to share this little take though, because I had such a crush on both Darla Hood and Shirley Temple, but I was so young. I had no idea they had made those movies like in the 30s.
Yeah.
So I knew I was going to find one of them someday and make her my girlfriend.
Darla Hood was phenomenal. But even like the musical numbers in the Hal Roach films were so fun, and there would always be some girls who didn't know what they were doing. And it was charming, right? That the leg would be going this way. The MGM, they were all fantastic dancers. It's like, who cares? Who cares? It's funny to see them a little off.
Oh,
this is the whole movie. This is for you bring it to the stag party, stag reel. This is definitely an Irving Claw in the corner production. Look at this thing.
Right here.
Yeah, this is more from the 8mm
$5 rental. Yes, yeah. for your stag party.
Oh my goodness, she is so cute.
But she has fun, She reminds me also of like even Bela Lugosi. We're talking Plan 9 and stuff. He would do these horrible, PRC films, these low, but he threw himself into. He could, the Ed Wood things. He threw himself into it, because he was a pro, and she throws herself into this, and she's not going, "Oh, this is crap." Why am I? You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Right. I love Boris Karloff. We mentioned Bela Lugosi. But Boris Karloff, when he does something low budget or he doesn't approve, you see he doesn't approve. And he's kind of like not walking through it, but you know what I mean? He's like, Bela, no, he's his heart and soul is in the line readings, and he's trying to make something out of it. And,
Absolutely. An actor's actor. People don't even realize that about Boris Karloff, but what a proper actor he was.
I mean, Bela Lugosi was, you see a film called The Devil Bat, which is not a great film, but Bela really throws his heart and soul into it. And this is like rubber bats in it. It's just like, you think, I'll just say my lines and go.
One of my favorite parts of Ed Wood apparently was real, where they have the broken octopus.
And he has to struggle with it. Yeah.
And he's
borrowed an octopus from some John Wayne movie or something. And they couldn't figure out how to work it.
Yeah. He moves the tentacles himself.
Now, my favorite part of the Ed Wood movie was, I can't imitate him as nearly as well as you two, but Karloff, he just does Frankenstein. All it is grunting and groaning. Further back up your point that, Bella was a true thespian.
Well, it's funny because a lot of Bella buffs don't like that film because they supposedly Bela would never be so blue. You know what I mean? He smokes cigars. Yeah. And if you look at stills and little things, he enjoyed being around people, and he wouldn't have badmouthed even if he had an issue with Karloff. He was not a cursing. But for the movie, Martin Landau was brilliant in this, character of Bela Lugosi. It makes it. But it's bullshit. He was old. He was a Hungarian gentleman. He was not, he just his one vice, he smoked a lot of cigars. And then of course he had a drug problem, which, he hurt his back, I think, in maybe World War I or some war from the old country. Mm-hmm. And all they used to do was give you morphine in those days, right? They'd give you more
right.
And it would get worse with age, and they would give him more morphine. And what do you think is gonna happen?
Yeah.
So if I didn't know better, I would swear this clip was on a loop because she's been going for a while, the lovely Betty, and her energy and smile have not diminished one iota.
She's a pro.
Movie editors are the unsung heroes. Diana J. Brody, Diana J. Brody is an editor herself, is having dinner right now. But I love this bit so much. Have you ever seen this before?
Oh, this seems familiar to me. Burlesque with the Devil.
Joe, I think I pulled this one.
No, you definitely, because I don't recognize it.
This act, I had never seen anything like this.
Oh yes, this is famous. Yes. Where the boy or the devil is the same person. I mean, it's the woman doing it. Yeah.
Yes.
Am I going to feel real dirty for enjoying this with the devil involved?
This type of act still happens with different clown artists and dancers. Where I remember seeing a performer. I wish I could remember her name. It was a cleaning woman, sits down. There's a coat and a hat hanging, and she puts her arm through, and it becomes the guy in her. Of course, it wasn't a burlesque thing, but it's a classic vaudeville. Probably goes back before vaudeville type of thing, where you assume another personality, and it's rather good. I mean,
I definitely I'm familiar with the type of routine where you were describing, Bob, where the woman plays both herself and the tuxedoed dance partner. But this is really interesting. This is a very cool technique.
This is very funny from Chris. They did a similar bit in Victor Victoria. Yeah.
Well, harkening back to these types of things, I'm sure.
Yeah. It's so wild how sexy it is too. Yes. Especially when I keep reminding myself, no, that's her hand.
Now, she doesn't have a pants leg or anything on the other side. It's just a draped
correct
outfit. Yeah. Well, I've seen it like that with a pants leg,
Yes. There was an old routine that would be done where a woman was dressed half as a man and half as a woman.
Look at that. That's great. Yeah. She's doing that. Look at how she's moving the head. Look at that.
It almost looks like a separate guy.
Yes.
It looks like a separate person. Very well done.
And you can
imagine being a little naughty.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, she's good.
A little fresh.
you can imagine that this is.
They did this in Victor Victoria. I have to look at that movie again. It's
one of the early nightclub routines. Early in the movie.
Yeah. I mean, what's wild about it is you could not possibly have two people on stage doing this.
No.
You would get
Well, that's the whole thing. I mean, look at this.
Yeah.
This is pretty racy if it was two people.
Right.
Yeah.
Pretty racy with only one person, actually.
I agree.
But look at the coordination here in the.
She's very good. What's the artist's name?
That's a very good question. I'm not seeing it in the. I'm not seeing it
on the poster.
Yeah, it might be. Tell you what. Let's take a quick look at the comments. Sometimes the fans show up because there's nothing in the, in the description other than what you're seeing. But
thank God for our audience, because when John and I can't bluff it, they come through for us.
yeah. No, I'm not seeing any real information about this, unfortunately. All right, back to our previously scheduled horniness.
All right, so she's doing the devil routine.
Oh, little pat.
It's a naughty devil.
That is one heck of a leg.
It sure is.
Chris says, as a ventriloquist, I'm not so turned on.
Well, I think ventriloquists have issues too.
Oh, no more than Batman as far as duality.
I remember seeing, you watch Edgar Bergen and Charlie's talking. And of course, Bergen's, he moved his lips, right? He was famous
right.
for moving his lips. So Charlie's talking, but Edgar's always going like this because he's moving his lips. It's just very disturbing, So you're like, look at Charlie. Although the most disturbing Charlie McCarthy moment I've ever seen in a film where Charlie would be sitting on Edgar's lap, right?
Yeah.
Obviously a dummy. And then he says, Edgar said, well, you should go get the car or whatever that. And then they go to a long shot and they would get like a midget, I guess, in Charlie's body with the head. And he's like, he start walking around. Like, very disturbing. But my worst Charlie McCarthy story has to be a friend of mine was producing Carl Tiedemann. Do you remember Carl Tiedemann?
Oh yeah, Carl. Yeah.
He was producing something, some morning show, and Candice Bergen had donated her dad's one of the Charlie McCarthy's, or the first Charlie McCarthy, to the Museum of Broadcasting, which now is called the Paley Center.
Right.
So Charlie was on the show. So my friend said, if you want to meet Charlie McCarthy, you should come down to the studio. So I went to the studio, and there's Charlie McCarthy sitting on the piano. Had red hair, which I thought was interesting. You never knew.
Interesting.
And I'm just marveling at Charlie McCarthy. Of course, if it was now, you'd have 100 selfies of me with Charlie, but I don't have any selfies.
Right.
So at some point, Charlie's handler comes over, and he says, "Oh, I got to pack Charlie up. I got to get him over to see him at broadcasting." I said, "Okay, do you mind if I pack him? Is it okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's okay," Yeah. And there was a foreshadowing. I didn't realize in his voice. He puts out a box which looks like a small coffin, right? And he opens it up, and there's a tier, like a shelf.
Yeah.
And he pulls Charlie's head. Now Charlie's head is like on a spike, head on a stick,
Yeah.
And Chris probably knows about this. And there's a burlap bag that probably goes back to 1927 or something. And he dumps, and this is the way you do it. You dump the head in the burlap bag, and it goes on the top shelf of this coffin. And now you've got a headless body, right? And he takes the headless body, and the shoulders fit right under the shelf where the disembodied head is in a burlap sack. And then the knees go up like this, and the hands go on the feet. So that's the headless body with the knees up, and then he closes it up. And at that point, I realized, that's what he was. He didn't tell me he was going to disembody Charlie. He was going to take. I'm like, I think he's going to take him, put him in the box, whatever.
It makes sense.
Very disturbing. It was very disturbing.
It makes sense because they had to get it down to a science because he had to travel, and he had to keep that bag with him. And had to take care of it, make sure it was always in good shape.
And it was probably, and also for management purposes, the outfit could be clean, the body could be fixed, the face could be whatever. What does that say? The vent is always the dummy, the puppet has all the lines. All right, that's true.
Fair enough. I have to say
venting.
something about that last routine. It was it ended just at the right time, because when she took off most of her clothes, that devil got pretty touchy feely.
Yeah.
They were just one step from the censor, I think.
Okay,
Wow.
so here is another burlesque routine. I
Yes.
don't know much about it. Let's see.
Here
if
it is. Oh, that's a show from the 70s, I think.
Right. Here it is, burlesque.
I saw one with my dad at Brooklyn College, of all places. Like, this was burlesque. But they used to have these shows that went around with old timers in it.
Yeah. And I think HBO, very early in its day,
You remember with
was
Sid Caesar, maybe, or with
Yes.
Dickie Lee? Yeah.
Sid Caesar and Imogene Coca. I remember seeing on one of them doing a
One of
bunch of
those
old
burlesque
routines.
shows. Yeah, Maury Amsterdam. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so this one features Claude Mathis and Dexter Maitland.
Let me see.
It's a little over 5 minutes. I have seen this routine. I think you, my friends, are going to enjoy this.
I know we will.
Ladies
Probably
and
much bigger
gentlemen,
audience than we did in the old
Claude
days, too.
Mathis.
Do I have a story to tell you? I was just standing out front, and the gentleman walked over and said, I saw you in Las Vegas. You and Dexter Maitland, my partner. I said, that's right, yeah. Well, he says, are you still gambling? I said, man, I'll bet on anything. He said, all right, I'll bet you $20 you can't say sausage to 3 questions. I said, man, you are full of shady ideas. Just give me money. Get going. He says, all right, here's my money. I'll bet you $20. Now, remember, you must say sausage. Bet you $20.
Bob, have you ever heard this routine?
No, I'm going to run to the bathroom while it's on. I'll listen.
All right, turn it up. We won't interrupt it. Here we go.
$20 you can't say sausage to 3 questions. I said, okay, shoot. He says, now, number one, a poor old lady walking down the street. On her arm, she had a basket of sausage. An automobile knocked her down. Who would you pick up, the old lady or the sausage? I said sausage. Now he says number 2. Fire breaks out in a 4-story building. On the top floor is a little boy eating a sausage. You go up the ladder. Who would you bring down, the child or the sausage? Again, I said sausage. Now, what do you think he said? In case you should win this bet, which would you rather have, the money or the sausage?
I think the money for hot dogs are only 10 cents.
Damn stupid. Uh-oh, here comes a live wire. I'll get my money back. He looks like he's loaded. Hello, Bud.
Bud, do I know you?
No.
Do you know me?
I don't think so.
Good. Let's keep it that way.
Well, okay, fella, no problem.
First it's Bud, now it's fella.
Well, what's the matter?
What are you doing? Sucking around for something?
Man, I ain't sucking around for nothing. No, sir. I'm just trying to be friendly. That's
Friendly?
all. That's right.
I have enough friends. I don't need yours.
All right.
1, 2, 3, I'll be all over you.
Well, 4, 5, 6, you'll get off.
Ugh.
All right, forget about it. I just wanted to make you a little bet. You know.
Oh, now I'm a gambler.
I didn't say
You don't even know me. You have the audacity to stand there with your bare face hanging out. And do you have any money?
Sure, I got a lot of money.
You do?
Yeah.
Well, whip it out.
Whip it out?
Yeah.
Hell, I'm 80 years old. I can't even flip it out.
Man, that's an innuendo.
I'm lucky I'm walking.
What did you want to make a bet
Well,
about?
I'll bet you $20 you can't say sausage to 3 questions.
Sausage.
You stupid jackass. I haven't asked you the question yet. There. Okay, now, there's the money. Here's number 1. Remember sausage. Poor old lady.
How old is she?
I don't know what's in the story. Now,
You
the old
don't
lady-
know?
I
Everybody has an age.
I have to
Between
tell
the time you're born and the time you die, there's an age in there somewhere. Now, how old is this woman?
Well,
How old?
She's 180, all right? Yeah, now the old lady's walking down the street.
What street?
You son of a bitch.
Oh, what street is she on? There's a lot of difference. There are streets, avenues, boulevards, lanes. Now, where is this old broad?
She's walking down Broadway.
He's saying the same thing,
Now, the
Chris.
old lady's
Which
walking.
side?
She's walking on the left-hand side.
Well, what's the matter with the right-hand
The
side?
old lady don't like the right-hand side. Do you mind?
Yes, I mind. Millions of people walk on the right-hand side of the street every day in the week, and it's not good enough for that old lady.
Oh, the hell with it. Take the money. I ain't gonna.
The guy's wife is
The hell
amazing.
with it. Burn her up an alley. God damn it.
Wait a minute. You ran an old lady up an alley?
No, she coaxed me up the. Oh, come on. I was up the alley by myself.
What were you doing?
I was taking a shortcut. Now, the old lady had a basket on her arm.
Which arm?
She had it on her left arm.
How do you know?
It's the only damn one she had left.
That toupee on that guy.
You want to hear a funny noise?
Sure.
Stick your head in there.
Oh!
Burlesque.
Don't do that.
Why?
My vines have tender grapes.
Frank and Bean.
Okay.
The old lady's walking down the street.
Yeah,
Basket
me too.
on her arm.
She got a
What's in the basket?
I didn't peek in her bucket. I read her
You
back.
don't even know.
Well, she had sausage in
What
there.
kind of sausage? Don't you know anything? This ham, this pork, this, what was it?
Liverpool.
Oh.
Okay. Now here comes an automobile.
What kind of an automobile?
Chevrolet with a Studebaker rear end. The automobile hit
How
that
fast was it
40
going?
miles an hour.
How fast?
80 miles a month.
How fast?
Damn car was backing up.
Love the comedian's ties and
Riding on a
shoelace.
bicycle. Now, okay. Now the poor old lady fell down.
Yeah.
Who you gonna pick up, the old lady or the sausage?
The sausage.
That's good. Now, here's number 2. Fire breaks out. I don't know who started the damn fire. Up on the top floor of this burning building, a little boy eating a sausage. You go up the ladder. Who you gonna bring down, the kid or the sausage?
The sausage.
Yeah, in case you should win this bet, which would you rather have, the money or the sausage?
The sausage.
Buddy, you got my weenie. There it is.
I've heard that. You know, a variation of that.
That's your.
you
I'm
know.
sorry, Bob. You have heard that, right?
I've heard that. Maybe not as long as that. That was fairly long. I was listening to it, but it's interesting. These guys are so strange looking. That's from the 70s, I gather.
Yes.
Because the suspenders were like not authentic suspenders. You know what I mean? The shoelace was kind of a classic thing. They used to do that with shoelaces and things like that. And the other guy, the straight man with that white hair, is pretty. It's like Party City. It's like Party City Burlesque. You know what I mean? It's like
I do.
But that's like those guys were. Although the main comic, I think, was he on Hee Haw? He was that type of guy you would see on like a show like Hee Haw or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's that's definitely like the end of classic baggy pants burlesque and sort of like a remember when kind of show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah,
So,
with a little bit of that late 70s dirtiness too.
a little extra dirty. Yeah.
But-
That was burlesque got filthier as it went along. Like when Abbott and Costello did burlesque, they were always a clean act. There was a lot more, there was innuendo and things like that. But I think by the 50s and 60s, I guess to keep the the audience awake during the strippers, they would get a little salty and to wake them up, and Lenny Bruce used to MC a lot of strip shows and things like that.
Right.
And that was one way to keep the audience engaged. But the original burlesque was a show with, the girls were scantily clad. They did numbers.
Yeah.
There were occasional specialty striptease, but mostly there were a lot of comedy scenes. Susquehanna Hat, who was on first. Those were the things. But I remember when Joey Faye, you guys are familiar with Joey Faye, the comedian.
Oh,
He did a sneezing bit. He's in a lot of things. And Mack and Meyer for Hire and lots of things. And they did a memorial for him at the Victory Theater in New York. And Al Lewis spoke, Grandpa Munster and all these people spoke. But they wouldn't mention Abbott and Costello. Nobody was mentioning the greats. They mentioned Peanuts, so-and-so. People I never heard, no mention of Abbott and Costello. And I think I was speaking to Harry Goss, who was a Broadway actor. He was in a lot of plays. They did Fiddler and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I said to him, why isn't anyone saying Abbott and Costello? I mean, we're at the Victory Theater or on Broadway. Well, a lot of the burly cute clowns, the baggy pants clowns, they're mad at Abbott and Costello because they took all those routines that they did, which was part of the burlesque wheel and the circuit, and they put it on radio and they put it on television, and they became Abbott and Costello routines.
Yeah.
And so they never forgave them for that. And so that all this material that these guys could do,
Right.
now if they did it, they say, "Oh, well, we liked it better when Abbott and Costello did it, or we've seen that,"
Yeah.
And it took it. I mean, and they just took it upon themselves. And Lou Costello even tried to copyright Who's on First, and the family claims they own it. You could argue there's a 1938 short with Rags Ragland, who was Bud Abbott said the funniest man he ever saw.
Oh, wow.
You see him in some films in the late 30s, early 40s. He died, unfortunately, very young, but he was probably the comedian's comedian kind of thing.
Wow.
And he does Who's on First with a partner, different than Abbott and Costello, but 1938, almost in the same setting, the famous Abbott and Costello scene of Who's on First from Naughty 90s, where they have the baseball motif and they're wearing the Abner Doubleday kind of outfits and stuff.
Right.
Same exact set, same exact setup, but it's 1938, the year that Bud and Lou teamed up. So they weren't even an established team. They may have done it on radio, Kate Smith show, but they hadn't. So Rags was obviously doing it with his partner, different than the way Abbott and Costello did the routine.
Right.
But so there were other guys doing this stuff. The one thing about the Rags Ragland one that cracks me up is, in the Abbott and Costello routine, they never mention right field. You never know who right field is. In the Rags Ragland, it's Izzy.
Izzy.
Izzy. Oh, yes, he is. Yes, he is. Yes. Is he? Yes. Is he? Yes. Nobody else. And it's funny that they never, used right field. You never hear Abbott and Costello mention who's
the forgotten player.
Izzy. Yes. Finally, the answer. It's Izzy.
Being such a fan of old time radio, I always kind of felt bad for Abbott and Costello because they were very famous for Who's on First, and they wanted to create other acts very much like that, other routines, and they would always fall short.
Yeah, Hurts You Drive. If it's Hurts You Drive, Hurts You Drive.
I don't want to drive.
Yeah. Why should I? Right. If it hurts, why should I drive? So there's always those plays, but the classic one about dying, work at a cleaning and dyeing place. I'm dying on Tuesday. Oh, that's terrible. That's another one. Or loafing. Loafing's a classic one. What do you do in the bakery? I loaf. You mean they pay you to loaf? Sure. I'm a big loafer. My father was a big loafer. My grandfather. I know you, Abbott. I think you're a better loafer than your father. Well, I know that now. So I mean, it's all that type of play on words. But I think in the end, from what I've seen, of course, we don't know of before Abbott and Costello, and they're probably great comedians. We'll never know who was but they were like the best at this. I don't know, at least at the routines that they did. I mean, I've seen other people do them, and they're good. But Bud Lou had a special thing. At least it photographed well. Let's put it that way. It played well on film and on radio.
I always say this is something you've experienced a million times, Bob, but it's a passing game. It's also an energy game. And when you match the energy of the other person really well, I think that's when a good routine becomes a great routine.
Well, I think it's all about listening and reacting. I mean, Laurel and Hardy, it's all about reacting to one another. Right. And the listening is very important. And Abbott, I watch Abbott a lot lately. When I was a kid, I watched Costello, but now I watch it. And the way he reacts and he's listening and he just knows when to say that, or no, what are you talking about? Of course, just the right spot. Same thing with like Laurel and Hardy. Laurel's doing something and Hardy's looking at him. He just knows. And Chuck Jones would do that. A lot of Chuck Jones cartoons, the eye goes like that, that kind of thing. And it's from Laurel and Hardy. He just knew
that's so funny.
What Stan's doing is funny, and he has to show that it's ridiculous. And he shares it just at the right spot where it could get maybe a little boring, but it gets a laugh, and he goes back to the routine without sucking the air out of it. And that's all reacting. And it's two guys. I think people enjoy watching two guys, two gals, guy and a gal, whatever, working together.
It's true. One of the things they always tell you, Joe's a writer. You know exactly what I mean, Joe. It's about characters and relationships.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
when you boil it all down, nothing's original, everything's been done before, but there is some chemistry between these characters that creates their relationship. The audience can feel it. They don't need it explained to them. That, just as you're saying, Bob, the straight man is frequently the guy on the side of the audience.
Right.
Frequently the guy who is explaining things that the funny guy isn't fully explaining.
Yeah, well, he sets the tone. They used to say, well, in burlesque, the straight man always got 60. It was always 60-40 between the straight man and the comedian, because a good straight man is priceless.
Yeah.
But comedians were a dime a dozen. The straight man was almost the director of the routine. He set things up. He created the tempo. If they needed to speed it up, he sped up. He's the guy kind of running things.
Yeah.
The comedian would go out there, and would have to be pulled back in. Like Abbott was able to pull Costello back in and say, talk sense. And on one of their TV shows they do, on their syndicated TV show, they do Who's on First. And Lou gets lost. He gets lost in the routine. And we hear Abbott, because being a stage actor and everything, it's sort of a sotto voce, but we hear it because they're mic'd,
Yeah.
And Costello's talking, and Abbott says in a very soft voice, and he leans and he says, Louie, calls him Louie, we pay these first basemen every week. And then Costello says something, and he says, when you pay off the first baseman, who gets the money? So he got him back on track in a very, now I bet you on stage we wouldn't have heard that, because it's a very soft voice.
Right.
They didn't retake it. It is what it is, but it shows you his tech. It's a great moment for me, or for you, for anybody, if you're watching this type of performance, to see the technique involved. And Abbott got him back on track, very, very subtly. But it's interesting because I guess we would not have heard that on stage if we were in the audience, right? But I picked it up. We paid these. without any time to say it, without any he's in character. He's just saying,
Sometimes his wife does it.
Whose wife? Yes.
Bob, I don't know if I ever told you this, but whenever I would audition for a sketch show, I would always do this routine that I had cribbed from a bunch of different comics that I knew, which was Bud Abbott studying his lines.
Oh, wow.
And I would take off my pants. I would have, and it would be him wearing the jacket and the tie with a hat, but he's ironing the pants. He's looking at the script, and he's like, well, Lou, we have to work at the defense plant. No. Why? Oh, you're crazy. Well, why would your uncle bring a little baby onto a defense plant? Oh, that's crazy.
It's like, talk sense, yeah.
Friends, what's wrong with you?
Well, it's like Chico Box. Sure. That's a crazy.
Okay, let's take a look at just something that Joe found that is just so glorious. And
I know this. I've been getting worked up looking at B. Arthur, so I got to see what happens next.
All right, let's see what happens.
B. Arthur, by the way, she could get it. I loved B. I don't know
who didn't.
Me. But I was a big B. Arthur fan. I never laughed when people would mention her as being unattractive. Like, you don't know what you're talking about.
What was the line? I wouldn't fuck you with B. Arthur's dick. Was that who said that?
Oh, God, sounds like a Shecky line to me.
Was that Jeffrey Ross, or who said that?
That could be Jeffrey Ross.
I wouldn't fuck you with B. Arthur's dick. It's like famous Friars thing,
Yes. Oh,
because the other one, you've been talking so long. Abe Vigoda died, and Abe Vigoda would be sitting there. And actually, he'd be like,
All right, this is a scene from Maude.
Come on out.
Here we go.
Whoa. This must be the place. Hey there, baby. They call me Cuddles.
Now, this is a little creepy. It is her
I've heard about
stepdad.
you. I've heard about your love making.
That's nothing.
That's what I heard. You know, you're kind of cute. You can meet me round the corner in a half an hour.
Oh.
Hold it. Carol, come on.
I think that's Joey Faye.
Let's
Hold
put a
on.
little more pizzazz in
Is
it.
it?
I mean, this is a tribute to Burlesque, not the Waldens.
Well, funny, Steve.
You can meet me
Yeah.
down the corner.
Yeah.
There you go, John. You're right.
Yeah, B.
He's doing it.
Get it, B.
You do that once more, I'll meet you in 5 minutes.
Hold it. Listen, I've been
Oh,
sitting
here
out
comes
here
the
watching this
killjoy.
rehearsal for 2 hours now, and I've kept quiet as long as I can. This is not the sort of thing one expects to see in a high school auditorium.
What do you mean, Arthur? What sort of thing?
This sort of thing. You can meet me round the corner in half an hour.
Oh, Arthur, chill
Our
out.
date's off, Ward. I'm meeting him.
Arthur, you've done nothing but complain for the past 2 weeks. Now, this is the best way I know to raise money for the library fund. Besides, Burlesque has been family entertainment for over 2,000 years. So just knock it off.
Arthur, if you don't like it that way, maybe you would like it the modern way. Frank?
Let's go.
Adrian knows what she's
You
doing.
can meet me round the
does.
corner in a half an hour.
Yeah, see?
Take that, Conrad Bain.
Kind of quiet now.
Outrageous. How can you permit your own daughter to exhibit her body that way?
Well, why not? She has a great body, inherited from
This
her
is
mother.
true. This is true, too.
That is not a pretty sight, Maud. Oh.
Two pros.
Oh.
Go, Carol.
Chris said there was Jeffrey Ross who said the line. It sounds right. I think I may have heard that. I think I may have heard that in person. Actually.
Yeah.
Great
that
line.
makes sense. If Retro Rangers is based on anything, it's our love for Adrienne Barbeau.
I have to completely agree.
Oh, she's still around. She's still
Yep.
He is.
Oh, Benny Hill.
Okay. Are
How
you
long
guys
is this
okay
show, by
with-
the way? What time is it? I'm looking at the.
We're nearly at 2 hours here. Have
Okay.
we ruined the night at the Greenbergs? I'm very sorry.
My wife's in the other room. I'll find out in a few minutes, I guess, or whatever. But how long do you normally go to? What is their?
You know, it is. I was gonna try to keep this one down to an hour and a half because I didn't. It's your first show. I didn't. You know, I didn't want to.
You normally go to 2 hours? You normally do that?
A lot of times we'll go 2, sometimes 2.5, sometimes 3. But I didn't want to do that to you.
Well, those are rare. I mean, but
those are.
I
rare.
mean, speaking just for myself, I personally have another 8 minutes in me. So,
All right, so we say.
I
8
love you
minutes.
from Benny Hill.
All right, let's do 8 minutes if you'd like.
I was shocked that the copyright cops let us do this. I was able to show this without any problem. So,
Benny Hill's a good way to end. You know, by the way, I just want to say that, you know, a lot of it's funny. I was a big Benny Hill fan as a kid. I loved.
Oh yeah,
Benny, you know, he was so big, and you know, Johnny Carson offered him gazillions of dollars to come over to be on his show. He wouldn't come for some reason.
Yeah.
But in recent years, a lot of the British comedians hated him because they claimed he stole all this material. I know Buddy Hackett used to do an Asian character, you know, the Chinese waiter, which Benny borrowed. But supposedly he did that to a lot of people, and they, in Britain especially, very mad at him. But I don't know. He was funny.
He was stealing a lot from the music hall, which was the British
version. Yeah.
Yeah, and I imagine there wasn't a gag he didn't swipe, because how many years? Like 14, 15 years worth of shows or something?
Yeah. I guess he gave everybody a homage.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's all right. So I'm gonna turn up the volume here.
You should put less. Look at that.
oh my! Here we go.
Hills Angels, if you remember. I don't think Jane Leaves is in there, but
I was just thinking about her. If I ever
From
get
Frasier, yeah.
her. Yeah.
you got this suit in one of those closets in your place, don't you, Bob?
Oh yeah, that's a good outfit. It's a pretty good outfit.
A demon in truth, but an angel in fiction. A woman's the greatest of all contradiction. She'll lift a man up, she'll let a man down. She'll crown him her king, and then she'll make him a clown. In the morning she does, in the evening she don't. And just when you're certain she will, she bloody well won't. Now, like a fool, I married Lola, who played
This is later Benny Hill,
but
isn't
her
it?
cooking, sad to say, was not so hot.
Yeah.
She used to often boast
A little
that
older, a
after
little
they pot
heavier.
roast, most of the time it tasted like roast pop. On my birthday, she said, "Hon, we're gonna have beef bourguignon." I said, "Put in lots of lovely red wine, Lola." She said, "I don't have time to go and get red wine." She took the whole damn lot in Pepsi Cola. Even Adam and Eve were the start of all this trouble. Well, that's what I believe. But even so, ladies and gentlemen, a thing of beauty is a joy forever. And we have searched the world to bring you the most beautiful girls in the world who sing to you.
Girls of all nations, bringing beauty to you. Girls of all nations, we bring happiness to
Good.
I'm finished.
Oh, that was shot in the ear.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure and privilege to introduce all these beautiful girls, each and every one of them to you. And first up, we have our little beauty queen.
Oh, she's a regular.
Miss Unwed Mother of 1983. Miss Foam Rubber of 1984. Miss Bonecock of 1985. We'll call her Bubbles. She never has a handkerchief. Tell me, what does your boyfriend call you, honey?
My boyfriend calls me Dimples.
Dimples, isn't that sweet? I don't see any dimples.
You're not my boyfriend.
Look at that. Oh, God, like a pigeon on a hot pavement. Next, ladies and gentlemen, all the way from Paris, France, Europe, we have the Fifi de la Tour Eiffel. Oh, God. Oh, just look at her, ladies and gentlemen. She comes from France. She lives on that beautiful street, the Champions Rice House. Near the Arc de Trumpet. Where she has her own penthouse with 2 pair of pence. And a terrace all the way round. But unfortunately, she does not speak one word of English, do you, honey?
Not a word.
What'd I tell you? However, I will make the translations for all you good people here tonight. Mademoiselle, je fais les translations, n'est-ce pas? Voulez-vous parler? Silver plate.
Silver plate.
La mère.
Her mother.
Je t'adore.
Shut the door.
Ouvrez la porte.
Open the port.
Coupe de graisse.
Mow the lawn.
Coq au vin.
Pass.
The Bob Hope look, right?
Reminds me, I must get some hot cross buns. Even as I speak, another beautiful girl steps up onto the podium. There she is. This, as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, is our English Rose. Very high class. Doesn't say you who, says you whom. Goes into a restaurant, orders a bacon butty with a side salad. Likes me for my charm.
You as much charm as a temporary filling.
Well, honey, looks ain't everything.
In your case, they aren't anything.
She might not be intelligent, but by golly, she is stupid. Dumb, this kid is so dumb, she thinks a trifle is a 3-barreled rifle. She thinks a coolie is a quickie in the snow. Does a crossword puzzle. It says to egg on. She puts toast. Oh, God, I'd love to see her in 3D. That's my room number.
Yeah, that's a good one. I use that
You'll
one.
have that.
The border
use that
to
one.
meet our beautiful little Latin American incinerator. Oh, boners knuckers. Her brother is the famous South American streaker, Senor Willie. And this beautiful little girl took me home with her to her hacienda, to
Like
her
that Carmen
casa
Miranda
last night.
vibe.
You took me home, didn't you, kid, eh?
See?
You see, took me in and locked the door. See? See, you see? Tell the good ladies and gentlemen what you gave me.
Una noche maravillosa. Excitantes con fandanguitos hermosos. Bulería fabulosas. Alegría guapísimas. Una noche de amor con muchos besos magníficos.
Oh. And what's more, I had it twice. Once with chips and once with a side salad. Okay, kid. Adios. Amigo. Oh, reminds me, must get my watch fixed. There they are, ladies and gentlemen, the most beautiful girls in the world. But as you probably know, this all started years ago at the time when Eve and Adam were around. Now, some people blame the apple at the top of the tree. Me, I blame the pear on the ground. Now, Adam, he was fond of Eve. He loved to turn over a new leaf. And as Eve smiled and tossed her pretty curls, Adam raised his eyes to heaven and he sighed and said, "Oh, Lord, I've got more ribs. Have you got any more girls?" Adam and Eve.
I give a couple ribs.
That's my
Benny Hill.
That's a later, like the Benny Hill that I think we grew up with was, I guess, the prime Benny Hill. You know what I mean? They picked more, because for American audiences, more of the visual comedy rather than the sketch. Oh, there was sketches, but you know, he was younger, definitely younger. I remember running into a Brit. I forget at what point. Maybe I was in college, so it was a few years after the Benny Hill boom happened. Yeah. And I said, "Oh, you ever see Benny?" I was like, Benny Hill, man. And he said to me, "You know, we don't really prize him as much as you guys do. I mean, you're watching those old shows, and you kind of, we see him kind of like, you're Bob Hope now when he does these specials. You know, this is the '80s. Like it's done. It's done. You know what I mean? And I hadn't realized this because you're watching old shows that they've culled the best moments, the psychiatric moments. But he definitely had his charm. But I gather he stole so much from some people. I mean, certain lines and things that they I don't know, they didn't like him. Going back, I mentioned Joey Faye. He did come to the States eventually, Benny Hill, and he shot something in New York. It was available on VHS. I don't know if it's called Benny Hill in New York. You could maybe find it on YouTube or something. It was like a special, and Joey Faye is in the special. And when they asked him who he wanted to work with, he said Joey Faye. So you'll see Joe if you can find it. I think it's called Benny Hill in New York. Very low budget, straight to video thing. But he did this like after, like there was a peak point in the 70s where he was really popular on Channel 9 here in New York. Johnny Carson wanted him, but he let that, I don't know, he didn't go for that 15 Gypsy Rose Lee minutes, you know what I mean? And then at some point, like he finally took an offer, and it was like, it was over at that point, but he did this one thing in New York. I would love to have worked on it. I mean, that would have been great.
I mean, it's so funny because, here's Chris over here. He's talking about some of the things that he saw when he was in the UK. He saw the very first Monty Python, Morecambe and Wise, who I don't know very well. Are you familiar?
Yeah, they did a Broadway show. Two guys did them in a Broadway show. I missed the show, but they were very, very famous, as were the two Ronnies. One thing good about Benny Hill, and I guess to some degree Monty Python, after Benny Hill was a hit, they brought more British comedians onto Channel 9. None of them clicked like Benny Hill. And then Channel 4 brought in Paul Hogan. Now, this is a pre-Crocodile Dundee Paul Hogan. And the problem with a lot of these guys, you couldn't understand them. You couldn't see what to say,
Right.
But there was someone named Crimmins or Bernard Crimmins, who was a British comedian. There was the guy who, what was his name? Maybe Chris remembers his name. He died performing. He was a magician. Tommy Cooper. Tommy Cooper had a series.
He did.
They showed some of his. They were trying out. Was it ITC? I think was the production company.
Yes.
ITC.
Yeah.
And they tried to get other things besides the Benny Hill thing, but it was only Benny Hill at that time that really clicked. But Monty Python also on Channel 13. So I'm not sure if Benny Hill preceded Python. He might have, but if he did, he was probably one of the reasons why they syndicated Monty Python. But of course, they did so many risque things on Monty Python that it had to go to PBS.
Right, right, which was so interesting because they were like, "Well, this nudity is art."
Yeah, I can remember seeing there's a naked girl and what is it, like the boring day of an accountant or something. Do you remember that? And he's waiting to get on the bus, and the Frankenstein monster is killing people on the line, but of course he misses him. And then he goes in to buy something in a store, and there's this beautiful naked woman there. He doesn't even notice. He's looking at
right.
So I was like, I can't believe they showed this naked lady. Next day at school, hey, she's a naked lady.
Oh boy. Apparently, I don't know what your doing YouTube problem has turned into. We got kicked off the air because of Benny Hill, which I already tried this, and they said, yeah, no problem. So
we're off the air? Okay.
We got kicked off the air, but Raphael says we're back now. So we're back in time to say goodbye.
Oh, okay. So what happens when you archive it? Is it just a jump cut?
We have, it'll probably be a jump cut, which I will probably be forced to do myself. So at least I can figure out a good edit.
So nobody saw Benny Hill, so.
Well, we're going to preserve Benny Hill, at least with my one favorite memory of the show. And that is, my mom would get so irritated when I'd watch this with my dad, probably because she thought I was too young.
Right.
But I said, but Mom, because when I was taking piano lessons, her favorite song I would play for her was Beethoven's, For Elise. I said, well, Mom, they play For Elise at the end of Benny Hill. And I had to actually get her to watch it to believe me. She thought I was kidding. It's just really fast, that's all.
I mean, come on. It's a great way to raise a straight child. Honestly, I know my parents didn't want me to watch it, but I was a little straight boy, and what do you want from me?
Why not?
I think for me, a lot of the gags just, it was funny. He was slapping the little bald guy on the head, Jackie Wright. It was funny. It was just funny. And it was this, and I love silent film comedy even then, It had a lot of silent film comedy, sped up stuff, and
a lot of ow my balls. A lot of that. But I mean, that's, I'm 13 years old at the time. This is the funniest stuff I've ever seen. And a lot of the verbal stuff is going over my head, but still had a great time.
True.
Thank you so much for being on the show.
Oh, thank you, Raphael. Thank you, Raphael, for listening and watching. And, it was a lot of fun, John and Joe. Oh, you're captain. You're command. Can I be corporal? Like Corporal Agar? Corporal Greenberg reporting.
Oh yeah, we should have given you. I believe you're Lieutenant Greenberg.
My lieutenant. I could be Lieutenant Greenberg. Or Benny Hill. I feel like characters regularly.
We are next week. We are going to take a look at a Nero Wolfe celebration. I had no idea that this existed. There was an unaired television pilot for a Nero Wolfe series in which one of the major roles is played by William Shatner. And we will be watching that next week. It's Archie Goodwin is the character.
Well, he's basically Spock to Nero Wolfe's Kirk.
Exactly. The first officer to Nero Wolfe. Do you remember the name of the actor who plays Nero Wolfe in that one, Joe?
I had it in front of me. It's we can tell him that he was in Land of the Giants.
Was he usually a heavy actor played Nero Wolfe? Was he a heavy?
Yeah.
This guy wasn't so much, but
I think Edward Arnold might have played in the movies or something. There's usually a heavy actor plays, I think.
William Conrad played him for a while in a TV series, and Maury Chaikin, I want to say, played him on A&E.
Right. Oh, usually a chubby actor.
Yeah, it's usually a heavier guy.
Kurt Kasner, John.
Kurt Kasner. You remember him, right,
good.
Bob?
He's Land of the Giants, is it?
Exactly.
Yeah, he was sort of
he was the heavy in Land of the Giants.
Is it Stanley Adams with the voice like that, the heavy set guy? Kurt was sort of like the Russian or the ethnic Stanley, heavy set guy with a bombastic voice. Right?
Yes, all about the voice. And
but
so
Kasner was like Dr. Smith on Land of the Giants, right?
Exactly. Exactly. And because it's in the 50s, I think it's more referential to the radio show because it is a half hour. So we're going to be watching some other clips to go along with that, YouTube permitting.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, indeed. Coming up, speaking of old time radio, coming up on Tuesday of the coming week, I will be playing for all my friends. Actually, Thursday, right? Thursday it is. Yes. I will be playing Mr. Keen, Tracer of Lost Persons, a detective show written and produced by soap opera people, and it's so bad, it's brilliant. I cannot wait to share this with everybody. This show is written for housewives crying over their soup, and it'll be a lot of fun to hear. You don't want to miss that. But the very next thing that we're doing here on this network is the return of Joe Townsend's Dread Time Stories. That's coming up on Tuesday. Joe will be reading for us his short story, Graduation Day.
Can't wait.
Joe, we're looking forward to that, my friend.
Please, everyone, tune in. I think you'll get a big kick out of this one.
Bob, is there anything that anybody can catch you on? You did mention Tango Shalom.
Yes, that's now called, I think, Forbidden Tango. You can catch that on Amazon Prime. Let me see. I know I'm on an episode of The Characters. It's Tim Robertson's. It was a pilot for his series, episode 7 of The Characters. If you're in New York, I'm at the Pangea restaurant next Friday. Or should I say this Friday? I guess I can say this Friday.
Yeah.
If you go on Facebook, Facebook comedian Bob Greenberg, and what am I on Instagram? I think I'm actor comic Bob Greenberg. On Facebook, I think it's Bob Greenberg, parentheses, comedian, whatever. You can see my postings. And I got a play I'm doing at the end of February called Richard Benjamin and Other None Such. And I'm in that at the end of
that. Sounds great. Big Richard Benjamin fan. Fantastic.
Lots of fun. So I'm keeping busy. But find me, I guess, Instagram, Bob Greenberg, actor comic.
Excellent. All right, my friends,
we
have
fun,
gone
Joe.
way over. Thank you so much, Bob. We're going to pressure you to come back. So either learn to avoid me, or maybe you'll come back. Maybe we'll get you back.
Yeah.
We'll get Bob back.
All right.
Well, if Bob wants.
Yes, definitely. I'm going to sleep.
Let's just go, everybody. Thank you, Joe. Thanks, Bob. Thanks, Matt.
Warm up your TV. Capt'n John, Cmdr, Joe got something to see. We're all back in time to the golden past with the Retro Ranger. Oh, it's such a blast. We're flying high with the Retro Ranger. Give it a try and don't be a stranger. Ranger, strap yourself in for a fun-filled flight. Retro Rangers are flying tonight. Retro Rangers, 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 Retro Rangers.